got sent off, he just done it deliberately.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. With Liverpool's FA Cup fourth round clash against Brighton tomorrow, Arne Slot says his selection headaches are keeping him awake at night.
It took me a long time before I could fall into sleep, because I was constantly considering what options I have for the lineup or what I should do. Because indeed, do you play the same players again or the others? Is this a moment for the others, but which others, in which position?
Liverpool-Brighton is one of 10 FA Cup fourth round games across the talkSPORT network this weekend, starting with Chelsea's trip to Hull City tonight. Igor Thiago signed a contract extension at Brentford, keeping him at the G-Tech for another 5 years. This after their 1-1 draw with Arsenal last night. And despite the league leaders dropping points in the title race again, Ali McCoist reckons they're going to be absolutely fine.
It might just be the best squad I've ever seen in English football. I'm not necessarily saying it's the greatest team, that was obviously up for debate, but in terms of the 22 that they've got, can you ever remember a stronger squad anywhere?
Arsenal host Wigan in the FA Cup Live on talkSPORT on Sunday. Now at the Winter Olympics, Ukrainian skeleton pilot Vladislav Heraskovich believes he hasn't broken any rules over his crash helmet of remembrance, covered in pictures of war dead. He's refused to use a different one, and the IOC have banned him over what they call a political protest.
I should be today part of the Olympic Games, part of the competition, but not part of the hearing. And so we continue to fight for our truth.
Are you confident?
Of course.
We're expecting a decision from the Court of Arbitration for Sport later today.
talkSPORT News.
A man's been sentenced to life behind bars for trying to kill a uniformed army officer, and vaping could soon be banned in cars carrying children. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Today it's raining tyres in our centres, including top-notch brands like Pirelli. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Rain continues to move south, with Northern Ireland and Scotland seeing some sunshine, some snow showers around the coast, and across the south staying cloudy and wet, but eventually clearing later.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. Where this afternoon, please tell us, Andy, what's coming up?
Coming up over the next 3 hours, what we learned from Brentford Arsenal last night. We'll discover if Spurs are truly looking to go German in their manager's search. And David Coulthard joins us as Max Verstappen slams the new F1 regulations.
The former footballer and boxer Curtis Woodhouse tells us about his move into promoting, and Married at First Sight's Paul Brunson on how he fell in love with Sutton United.
Very nice. There's all this plus the clips of the week, the Fools panel, and team mascot Sue's NBA star in Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup.
Yeah, the mascot of one team is taking another team's player to court.
Bonkers story, but there you go, it is America.
It is. 4 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy. May I first apologise for the Melvin Bragg in John Benson's film today. Having got behind the scenes with Debbie Priestley. Having got through that whole thing with my own kids of catching whatever they brought back from school over the years, I've now got a grandson, and that's happening. So he's come back from
Sneezed
nursery.
in your face, coughed in your face.
Yeah, he's come back from nursery with a cold, and I've got it. And by the
I know,
time his mum's got it.
Very, very common, isn't it?
It certainly is. So apologies, it's a bit nasal. But there we are. We just we'll do the moral maze later, whatever that is.
Very enjoyable game. I was at the
you were at the match, weren't you?
I've been to 2 games this week actually, and both games were pretty enjoyable. One was slightly more annoying than the other.
I kind of sensed your anger from the social media posts after Chelsea v Leeds.
I really shouldn't get wound up after a game.
I don't think you should. You should keep off of social media.
I should definitely do. I deleted it all anyway.
You should keep off of social media. Stan Collymore was very much enjoying your very balanced view of the match.
Yeah, because Stan starts going Leeds, only because it was good for Villa that Chelsea drew.
Yeah.
The results went badly for Chelsea this week, the fact that Liverpool and Villa both won. But there you go. Cole Palmer's miss, though, blimey. It's like Gazza in 1996. I've watched it about 16 times now.
And it's going in.
Every time you watch it, you think, he's going to put it in, and he doesn't. But, that's the way it is. But I thought last night was a terrific game of football. Really, really enjoyed it. And Arsenal sort of played into Brentford's hands. The first half was pretty even, but Arsenal weren't that great. You could see at half-time he'd really got into them. They blitzed Brentford for 10 minutes. You knew they were going to score. As soon as they scored, they sat back thinking, it'll be 1-0 to the Arsenal. That is the worst thing you can do against Brentford.
Because they've got, the main weapon is just chaos, isn't it? And that's where it comes from, really, a flick-on header. They had other opportunities around that. We did like Raya complaining about being manhandled.
It's fantastic.
I think, hang on, have a look at some of your own players, mate, before we do
I know,
that.
absolutely.
But he did pull off an incredible save.
Oh, what a save from Igor Thiago. It was an amazing save. But I do feel, it's fantastic watching a player like Declan Rice live.
Yeah. No.
What a play. He is so brilliant. It's ridiculous. He covers so much ground. 86th minute, he's bursting into the box. Next minute, he's doing a goal-saving tackle. He's incredible.
I thought that there was that moment Damsgaard would have scored when it was squared, and he just got a foot in, but not content with just getting a foot in. He then heads down the left channel and tries to set up an attack.
He's so involved in all the moves. I was watching one where he's about 6 times he touched the ball.
It's not often you can say someone was a bargain, 110 million quid or whatever he was.
I'm so pleased he's English because he's right up there with one of the best players in the world.
There was a couple. Mosquera's clearance was pretty key, wasn't it? He got a foot in it, and they both had chances at the end. Martinelli had that chance, didn't he? Igor Thiago had a couple of good chances. The one he whacked over the bar.
Just all in all, good game.
I
thought a draw was a fair result in the end.
I was watching two different sports because
you were watching the rugby league.
The York Knights Hull KR game, the opening of Super League, was sensational. It was a brilliant match. It was really, really good.
Yeah, I watched the highlights this morning.
She missed it. York Knights have come up for the first time. They've never played in the Super League before. And the word was because they've got the World Club Challenge where the best of the NRL plays the best of Super League. And Hull KR next week, having won the grand final, will play Brisbane Broncos. And the word was they'd asked for an easy start to the season. So that's doing your team talk for you.
That's not a great idea, is it, really?
And cut a long story short, in case you didn't follow it, York Knights won. They beat Hull KR, which was but what a brilliant start to the season for the people behind Super League.
It's a great sport, isn't it? We all know that.
We brought it to you on talkSPORT last night.
There's been a list. I'll tell you why I'm reading this in a minute. But there's been a list of the top radio hosts of all time.
We didn't make it, I understand.
No, funny enough, I came 11th.
Oh,
you were 12th.
They only showed the top 10. And that would fit with that bloke. We had a clip yesterday. We did a love special, and this bloke said, I listen to talkSPORT all day. He said, I love Andy and I love Jacobs. I thought, yeah, cheers, mate.
yeah, they're both.
I said I quite like Andy, but I can't stand Jacob.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So anyway, top was Sir Terry Wogan. Second was Chris Evans.
Chris.
Well done, Chris. And
Chris gave us a mention this morning.
He gave us a mention.
Funny enough, as we were walking into the building today, we don't always come in together, but we did today. And Chris was in reception, having finished his show on Virgin, and he had a chat with us, and he was telling us about an aspect of the show. He said he often listens in. He was listening to an aspect of it yesterday that he very much enjoyed, and apparently he was chatting to our own Charlie Baker, who's been doing a handover with him, because Charlie's been doing the very early breakfast
that's right,
on Virgin. And yeah, this is what Chris had to say.
birthday game yesterday because you've been. If you haven't heard the birthday game, it's hilarious.
You should come on and play the birthday spread.
I'd love to come on and play the birthday game. I didn't realise it takes so long, right? So I went to pick up Walt from school.
Yeah.
Because Boo, his twin, has got swimming on a Thursday, so I pick him up, and his mum takes Boo to swim, and I take him home. We do some boy stuff, and so we were listening, and then we did. I did some stuff with him, and then I had to go and pick Eli up.
Sure. I know you do about 2 or 3.
Yeah, and the birthday game was still on.
Yeah, it's half an hour. Yeah.
When I got back in the car,
the birthday spread is people guessing.
Whoa!
Do you want a quick game now? Hugh Dennis. How old's Chris? Hugh Dennis.
No, the whole point about this is that you've been talking about Robbie Williams' birthday all morning, but you didn't say how old he was, and I thought, oh gosh, and I thought I'm playing the birthday game.
I'm not allowed to do research for the birthday spread. You see,
right?
I'm not allowed to look at birthdays.
Well, also, it was a bit like the Masked Singer yesterday because neither of you knew the person, so how can you possibly guess their age?
It's like the thing.
Well, I think it's Russell Crowe.
Well, the second half of the birthday spread is always like it's opera singer Janet Johnson. And you go, I've never heard of Janet Johnson.
You had the head of the National Trust or something yesterday.
You have to guess it from that. It's a great game.
Well, he must be 140.
Chris, I'm going to sort out that you come onto the birthday spread.
I love it.
We're thinking of trying to get a celebrity special, and we've heard of a few people out there that play along, including the Manchester United former player and coach Johnny Evans. So we thought an Evans off would be fantastic. We can get Chris to play Johnny, but obviously Johnny's busy working with the defenders at Manchester United. He may have better things to do, but we'll work on it. We'll have a little celebrity special at some point. So you can catch Chris 6:30 to 10 on Virgin Radio Monday to Friday. So coming up this afternoon, what can we promise you? Well, Andy Brassell's going to join us. We got some ground to cover, an 8-minute VAR review in a game that finished 4-0. And 4-0 at the time, wasn't
4-0 at the time. It's pathetic. I mean, that's one of the worst things you've ever seen. I mean, and even when they decided, you still couldn't tell.
Yeah.
So just give the benefit of the doubt.
In Spain, it was nuts. What can Raheem Sterling expect to find at final where his new club, where he's got at the end of the season? And are Spurs going to go German? A couple of names have come up today, Edin Terzic and Marco Rosa. Who'd be the better fit for Spurs if it's likely to be one of them? Andy Brassell's going to join us to kick us off. Curtis Woodhouse had 2 fine careers, first as a footballer, then won a British title as a boxer, which is some achievement. And Curtis is going to join us. He's gone into the world of boxing promoting, and we're going to bring you his first promotional bout on the talkSPORT boxing YouTube channel. So he's going to pop in and tell us a bit more about that. And Paul Brunson of Married at First Sight fame. I've got to be honest, I've never watched it.
I have, because Sue quite likes it. My wife, she quite likes it, but it's...
you know Paul's work then?
I sort of do.
Yeah.
It's a sort of bit of a mad idea, but people seem to... the one that fascinates me is people go, I've got a friend who says, I love Marriage at First Sight, Australia. I think, no, that's one too many.
So. Oh, yeah, that's where you get a lot of that, don't you?
Oh, no. But what are you going to do? I've applied for a new job.
Oh, have you?
Marshal of the Diplomatic Corps. I'm going for it because this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Alistair Harrison, who's got the job at the moment, I'll be replacing him.
Good, yeah.
He called upon Her Excellency Ms. Josefa Gonzalez Blanco, at 48 Belgrave Square, in order to bid farewell to Her Excellency upon relinquishing her appointment as ambassador from Mexico. I thought I could do that. Bye.
Yeah, just knock on the door.
Thanks.
All the best. Safe journey. Money for jam, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a good job for you, that. And he's saying goodbye to people.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Chelsea haven't lost the night before.
Go on,
you'll give him a proper send-off. So anyway, Paul's going to join us. He fell in love with Sutton United in unusual circumstances. Okay. A man that wasn't a football fan and didn't have a team.
Oh, that sounds
if you don't know the story, he will be telling us more later on. And it's Valentine, so he's got some love-based info for us.
Oh, good.
Archie Curzon's back. He loves his rugby. He's a bit of a rugby chap, isn't he?
Good character.
Yes. Well, I think he's a real person.
Well, he is.
David Coulthard in the world of F1 with Max Verstappen kicking off. Says he doesn't like the new regulations or the new cars. Harry Symeou, Arsenal fan, podcaster, broadcaster, on what we learned from last night's game. And we'll have a Falls panel for you as always. Scott Minto in for Stan today. Jim Proudfoot is our commentator. These are the games. Let's give them to you now in the FA Cup. And you can give us a call, then call us back, and we'll get you involved at Call It a 3. Hull versus Chelsea this evening, and more on that later, where we chat to the former vice chairman of Hull. Burton Albion versus West Ham. Somebody smelling a giant killing there. The way West Ham are going, I'm not so sure now.
No.
That's tomorrow live on talkSPORT. And also at 8 o'clock, Liverpool-Brighton, an all-Premier League affair. So we want you to predict the scores of those games. Give us a call now, 03717 223344. It's 03717 223344. And, give us a call. We'll call you back.
I predict people will enjoy them not better because there's no VAR.
Yeah, I think we all know that, don't we? And, we'll get back to you, and we'll need you for 10 minutes at 2:45. So that's all to come, plus some good clips of the week for you, and even a bonus clips of the week deemed too rude for radio that will be in the Clips of the Week podcast, but we'll tell you more about that later. But Andy Brassel next on the Spurs-going German, 8-minute VARs in Spain, and Raheem Sterling in Holland. We're here with our good friends at Tool Station. Stay one step ahead, whatever the job. Next stop, Tool Station.
Thomas Tuchel signing a contract, is it because of the fact that the FA were concerned he was going to go somewhere else?
Listen, I think it is. You know, I certainly think he was on Manchester United's list. Who knows, maybe he would have been on Tottenham's list as well. And I think that's why they had to get this done, because what you don't want, if you're the FA, and if you're an England fan, you don't want Thomas Tuchel going into the World Cup with constant speculation that he could be leaving for a Premier League club job at the end of the tournament. I think getting that out of the way, he can focus on the job in hand. I don't think England will win the World Cup. I think there's a lot that counts against England winning this World Cup.
What happens if we lose in the quarterfinals? Does he continue as England manager?
I think I don't think we should underestimate if he gets to the quarterfinal of a World Cup. When you go back pre-Gareth Southgate, which is your argument, we'd have bitten your hand off at the quarterfinal of a World Cup.
Are you going to defend me on that?
No, I'll defend you because I think Gareth Southgate should have won a European Championship. I think they should have beaten Italy in that final. However, pre-Gareth Southgate, England didn't get to quarterfinals and finals at European Championships. So I don't, and it's a tough draw, by the way. You talk about draws. I was there when the draw was made in Washington. England have got to take out some big hitters to get to a quarterfinal.
So where does he have to get to keep his job done?
I think the quarterfinal is par. I think anything beyond that is
success. Do you
agree? The likelihood is that they're going to have to go to Mexico and play Mexico in Mexico City, which is going to be a difficult thing to do, although Mexico traditionally don't ever go any further than the last 16 of the World Cup. Then their quarterfinal, if everything goes to plan, which it never does, so it won't be this, is supposed to be Brazil in Miami.
Oh, it's very hot, isn't it, in Miami?
It's more likely that might happen.
But if England lose to Carlo Ancelotti's Brazil in a quarterfinal, are you going to say that's failure?
Well, I do look at Brazil's squad of players and
Now, some stories from the world of European football now, but they do have an impact on the Premier League and Premier League players. So to cover all that ground is one half of the excellent Trans-Europe Express, Andy Brassel. Good afternoon, Andy.
Afternoon, how are you both?
Good, thank you. Maybe we'll start with Spurs, because completely out of left field this morning, on the odds for the next Spurs manager, whether that's permanent or temporary, we don't know, were Edin Terzic and also Marco Rose, both managers who've had careers in Germany.
Like a poison chalice.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, I was just interested. I immediately thought, Andy, that you could sort of tell us what you see as the best fit and how likely it is that it could be either of these two guys to take the job.
Well, Terzic, of course, has had experience, A, of success in getting Dortmund to the Champions League final, and B, of English football when he was the assistant to Slaven Bilic at West Ham as well. Been without a job since he left Borussia Dortmund. And honestly, I find it hard to imagine him making sense in any other context than Dortmund. He was there because he was a Dortmund guy. It was felt he was a safe pair of hands. The tactical ideas were a little muddled generally, and they got through to that final of the Champions League at Wembley really by the individual quality of their players. Rosa is a little bit different because he's someone coaching-wise who comes out of the Red Bull school. Of course, a lot of the billing of him is the fact that he played under Jurgen Klopp at Mainz for a while, but the Red Bull connection is really the main one. The fact that he came through at Salzburg, he later did RB Leipzig pretty successfully, winning a Pokal and a Super Cup there before it started to unravel a little bit at the end of last season, which was due to unsettled players as much as anything else. And I guess the problem that I have with both of these is I struggle to see how they would make an immediate impact. If they were on a short list of coaches to come through in the summer, I could understand the sense. And, you know, you look at Terzic's CV, within a whisker of winning the Bundesliga, within a whisker of winning the Champions League. And, you know, that's hard to argue with, even if, as I said, there are tactical questions. With Rosa, I think there's much more of a coherent philosophy. And you could imagine him creating a Spurs team where they win the ball quite high up and excite fans. But how does he do that with the current squad? I guess would be the question mark there. And to go from a Thomas Frank, and this goes for Roberto De Zerbi as well. I think to go from a Thomas Frank style of play to Rosa or De Zerbi, like that, with no time, with no pre-season training, in a situation where you need results now, I think that sounds like quite a leap.
Yeah, I mean, the word coming out of Spurs in the last couple of hours is that it looks like it's going to be interim. Johnny Heitinger. Yeah. Johnny, let's have a quick word on it.
It rules out Poch,
doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, Alistair Gold made a very good point at Football London Spurs report. And the problem with Pochettino, of course, Andy, and I'm sure you back this up, is that, you know, he couldn't be in place until the middle and end of July when the World Cup is over. It depends if they got knocked out earlier, but the hope is to go deep into the tournament. And ideally, if you're rebuilding from the ground up, which would be the job for the next Spurs manager in the summer, you need someone in place as soon as the season ends to start planning and doing all the work.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. I think it would be naive to say that his work wouldn't start before he took the job officially and that he'd be working on it anyway. I think the other thing you have to say is with the World Cup going on, a load of the players wouldn't be available till a later stage anyway. And a lot of other top clubs will be in that sort of predicament. So I don't think it's necessarily a bar to Pochettino taking over. I think there are other questions with Pochettino taking over, namely the main one. Not only did it end badly at Spurs, but really, I find it hard to sell his coaching career, especially at the sort of salary he commands since he left Spurs. I don't think there's any one place where you think, oh, yeah, he did a really great job there.
I thought he did well at Chelsea. Sorry, Andy, I don't agree with that. I thought he did really well at Chelsea. He had a very difficult position. He inherited a really difficult situation, and it took him 3 or 4 months to get hold of it. But by the end of it, Chelsea were playing some lovely football and had a really good run towards the end of the season. But that's my view.
That's true. But on the whole, I think you would say, are you convinced by him? Like, he's got the name, he's got the billing, he's got the salary of a top manager. I think sometimes we still think of him as a young manager. He's not. He's well into his 50s. And is he, I know no one's a cast iron guarantee of success, but I think especially going back to Spurs the situation that they're in now, which is very different to what he built in the first place. It seems like a job fraught with danger to me.
That's on the basis that he doesn't just look at ENIC and think nothing's changed. So why would he go back? Because the last time he needed to make those difficult decisions.
It's hard to disagree with what Ange said. Everything he said felt right.
I do. I agree. And you can't have Taderi's to do in everybody's faces and then not walk the walk. But as I've said, ENIC's phrase in Latin is "talk is cheap." So let's move on, shall we?
Did you want to discuss Heitinger?
I do. We couldn't just very quickly on Heitinger. We don't want to do all this first, but Heitinger seems the likely person to do it. But everybody's saying, Ajax was a bin fight. It was a disaster. Was that all his fault? Was that all his fault, Andy?
Well, no, because Francesco Farioli walked for a reason. He could see what was coming, which is why he went to Porto. And I think Heitinger, he did a really good job with Liverpool last season. But, of course, that wasn't as head coach. So I think you have to say there's a bit of a difference here. Now, look, I don't know about you from a Spurs perspective, but from me, from the minute he arrived, I thought that this smacks of break glass in case they can't keep Frank any longer. And that's exactly how it's turned out. Now, of course, the difference, the atmosphere at Ajax is pretty toxic. Again, you might say Spurs, some similarities this season, but of course they're coming from a position that they demand a certain sort of football as well. Francesco Farioli got them very, very close to the league last season. Now I think there's an argument to be made with resources, but you could make that argument with Spurs as well, couldn't you?
And we don't know if Johnny Heiting has been gagging to get in there and do what he wants to do, or whether he was part of the problem, because we're not party to that. So we'll see what happens. Let's have a quick chat about Raheem Sterling. That kind of came out of left field a little bit last night as well. The move to Feyenoord and Robin van Persie. I mean, how do you see that as a fit? What should he expect when he gets there?
Well, again, he's not coming into an ideal situation, really, because Feyenoord are not winning the league this season. They're 17 points off the top behind PSV. Now, it looked like it might be a competition for the first couple of months of the season, and then PSV have really pulled away. And I guess the issue is that he seems to have really tied his reason for going there to Robin van Persie. He spoke about him and the sporting director and said how much that impressed him. He's apparently spoken at length with Van Persie about how he's going to be used, and Van Persie has got the stick out a couple of his wide players in the recent past. Noticeably Haj Musa, who has got a big market value, but has not been great over the last couple of months. And Van Persie's relationship with senior players has creaked a little bit as things have gone wrong. I mean, they've won 3 out of the last 10 games in all competitions. So Van Persie's under massive pressure. So I guess my question would be, not only how long will it take Sterling to get to a point where he can actually contribute meaningfully at a first team level, and certainly going to the Eredivisie rather than going to Serie A or La Liga makes much better sense in that sense, because it's a lower intensity and lower standard of football, I think it's fair to say. But what happens if he's like 2 weeks into getting fit and Robin van Persie gets fired?
Yeah.
That's my question.
No, it's a good point. I was going to ask you whether he's likely to throw him in over the weekend, but I'm guessing the answer from what you said.
It'll help if he decides to pass to somebody.
Yes. Well, maybe that's not what they want.
Incredibly selfish in his last period at Chelsea, which was bonkers.
Probably that.
But Andy, it's really difficult to say how can we. What is Sterling nowadays? We don't even know. He's not played regularly for a couple of years, has he?
We've got 30 or so seconds, unfortunately, on 8-minute VAR in the Atletico Barca.
I'm hoping it hastens a bringing in of a time limit.
Yeah. The Barca website were funny though. They said we were 4-0 down at half time, and we found a way back with this goal. I thought, well, that's doing a lot of heavy lifting. But who knows? Maybe it would have been a springboard for a comeback. But 8 minutes later, it was ruled out.
Yeah, and of course, the thing that they're annoyed about is there's a second leg. It was only the first leg of the Copa del Rey semi-final. The only way I can describe it to you is manual line drawing, because basically the semi-automatic went, so the VAR official had to literally draw the line, and that's why it took so long.
I thought you said it was Manuel line drawing.
Yeah,
I thought he was the VAR.
Spanish.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy. We'll hear from you Sunday, you and Danny on Trans Europe Express, and we'll catch up with you Monday. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, it's a great listen, Trans Europe Express. Often the games around Europe are still going on when the fellas are on. So rather than just reflecting, you're getting sort of live stuff going on. It's always a good.
I don't understand this. And when this is going on, and it's into the 6th, 7th minute, surely somebody there's going, look, we've got to make a decision.
Yeah.
If we can't make a decision, we're giving a goal.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You don't sit there going. And even when you look at it afterwards, you think, well, I can't.
They need you in there next to Manuel line drawing.
Manuel line drawing made it right.
Curtis Woodhouse had 2 fine sporting careers, one as a footballer, probably more famously for Sheffield United. You tend to think of him, Birmingham as well, don't you? And then as a boxer and won a British title, which is some achievement. So we'll be chatting to Curtis. He's moved into promoting, and we're going to be bringing you his first show on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. So he'll be with us very shortly.
Did you think that the Super Bowl would get such a thumping up against the Premier League offering of Liverpool-Manchester City? I thought it would be much, much closer. You're talking about a difference of 500 million.
You are. But you're talking about, I've had this argument with Brian T. Smith, who comes in, who I very much like, and makes the case that the Champions League final, I'd say, dwarfs the Super Bowl, and he makes his argument about scale. It makes my argument. Of course it makes my argument. But then you have to look back underneath it and say, this is a worldwide global audience that's watching the Premier League, watching arguably the biggest game in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And you've got multitude of broadcast deals around the world for a global sport. Ostensibly, despite inroads into various countries where you've had the NFL on tour and it's made its way into Germany and it's made its way into Poland and it's made its way into the UK, it's a North American sport. And so I'd be fascinated to see, outside of the North American broadcasting numbers, how many of the 220 million people that watched it were outside of North America.
Yeah.
Because I'm willing to wager you that well, clearly it's obvious because the population of this country is only 70 million, that 90%, 95% of the people that watched the Premier League game between Liverpool and Man City was around the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And when the NFL gets its act together, which it's trying to do, and makes this a global sport, and makes it a participation sport and a viewing sport in all the 4 flung corners of the globe, it'll have numbers that are substantial. And 220 million people watching it. If I'm right in my thinking, 90% of that will be in North America. That's 50% of the population of America, North America, watching a sports contest.
Ahead of Liverpool's FA Cup game at home to Brighton, live on talkSPORT tomorrow night, Arne Slot's selection headaches are keeping him up at night.
It took me a long time before I could fall into sleep because I was constantly considering what options I have for the lineup or what I should do, because indeed, do you play the same players again or the others? Is this a moment for the others, but which others, in which position?
Well, that's one of 10 fourth-round ties live across the talkSPORT network this weekend. Elsewhere, Ali McCoist reckons Arsenal's draw at Brentford is a good point for the league leaders and still thinks they'll win the title.
It might just be the best squad I've ever seen in English football. I'm not necessarily saying it's the greatest team. That was obviously up for debate. But in terms of the 22 that they've got, can you ever remember a stronger squad anywhere?
Blessing Musrabani has taken 4 for 17 at the T20 World Cup, leading Zimbabwe to a 23-run win over the Aussies. And the Ukrainian skeleton pilot, who's banned from the Winter Olympics, is having his appeal heard with CAS today. Vladislav Heriskevich was told he couldn't wear a crash helmet covered in pictures of Ukrainians killed during Russia's invasion while he's competing.
I should be today part of the Olympic Games, part of the competition, but not part of the hearing. So we continue to fight for our truth.
Well, the IOC has called it a political protest.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. We have some clips of the week for you later on. Tom Macklin with the latest from the States. But we're talking boxing now and a bit of football, because not many people switch careers from football to boxing and make a success of it. British title for our next guest as a fighter, and a great career as a professional footballer at Sheffield United, Birmingham City and more. It's Curtis Woodhouse. Good to see you, Curtis.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, pleasure. We've been doing this long enough, because I remember when you made the switch, we got you on to chat about it. That's quite scary. That was about 2006, wasn't it? 20 years ago.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's why I had hair back then. But, yeah, a long time ago. It seems like yesterday, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. You're going into promoting, and we're going to be involved and putting those out on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel, your first show. What was your experience of promoters during your boxing days, and what did you learn to do and not do?
Good and bad, really. Yeah, good and bad. A lot promise you a lot and then deliver very little sometimes. But what I've learned over time is not to take anything personally. It's strictly business for them. And I learned that in football as well. I remember when I first came in football, I thought everybody was your friend, and they are when you're playing well. Yeah. As soon as they no longer require your services, they stop answering your calls. You're no longer Mr. Popular. So I learned that a long time ago in sport.
Yeah.
Professional sport.
We were chatting to Lee Trundle yesterday. He's been involved in some of Graham Stack's these sort of footballer crossover fights where, some of the fighters been fighting for charity. Yeah. And I said to Lee, what's boxing training like compared to football training? He said, it's much tougher. And did you find that when you became a fighter?
I always say this all the time. I was so ignorant in how difficult boxing was. I used to watch it on the TV. I've always been a huge boxing fan. I used to watch the big fights with my dad on the TV. And I was always one of them that used to think, well, I can do that. And then it wasn't until I actually got in there and realised, oh my gosh, this is really, really hard. So I was a little bit ignorant to the fact it's a really, really tough sport.
You don't get hit in football generally.
Well, no, not really.
Well,
not as much.
In my day, you could.
Yeah, you could. You could.
You definitely don't now.
Whack the elbow in.
But yeah, it's a completely different regime, really. It's a tough game. And I always say, if I'd have known what I know now about boxing when I was 26, I probably might not have even done it if I realised it was going to be that hard.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you say to win a British title as well, it's fantastic. You weren't just playing at it; you were successful at it.
No, exactly. And it's the biggest achievement in my sporting career by some distance. Without sounding overly arrogant, I was always good at football from a young kid. I always thought I was going to be a professional footballer. My dream as a young kid was to play for Liverpool in England. Yeah. My hero was John Barnes, and I always thought I was going to do that. As a professional boxer, I remember when the rankings came out, I was 189th in Great Britain out of 189. Wow. So I was literally at the bottom, and it took me 9 years to get ranked number one and the British champion. So it means a lot to me.
What did you teammates say when you've said, I'm knocking it on the head and I'm going to become a boxer?
Well, I think probably the last 18 months I got disengaged with football. I completely lost my way.
What?
Because you were only 26, weren't you?
Yeah. So what caused that then, Curtis? What made you fall out of love with it?
Something came into my life in football. It changed everything, and that was money. You know, I started earning a lot of money.
Really?
And then all of a sudden, I took my eye off the ball. I was spending more time in nightclubs than I was on the training ground. And all of a sudden, that young kid who was desperate to be the next John Barnes, all of a sudden I'd lost my way. And
you'd lost the hunger, had you?
Not the hunger. I just lost the discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline and the dedication. When the whistle went at 3 p.m., nobody tried harder than me. But the Monday to Friday was the issue for me.
But that's what you need in boxing, that discipline, though, doesn't it?
100%. And that's why I was so successful in boxing, is because I'd already messed up one career. I wasn't going to do it in a second career. So when it came to professional boxing, I thought, right, I'm gonna show what I can actually do.
Do you think that? I mean, that was an interesting period, wasn't it? When you were on that, suddenly a lot more money came into the game, contracts were better. Did you see that with other teammates as well? That sort of desire go maybe a little bit?
Well, I think my culture in football was still a very much drinking culture.
Yeah.
It was the norm. So when I was out on a Tuesday night, 'cause we always used to have Wednesdays off, it wasn't just me that was out. The whole squad was out. We'd bump into the Sheffield Wednesday lads, the Chesterfield lads, the Barnsley lads. Everyone was doing it.
Yeah.
But as kind of Arsene Wenger came in and the foreign imports started to come in and show us British lads a different way, a lot of people kind of jumped on board with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like me didn't. And we got left behind.
Is it hard to become a boxing promoter? Is it hard to kind of get in there? Because you often wonder if it's a bit of a closed shop. There's a lot of people out there doing it, or has it been quite easy to put this together?
No, it's been very difficult. I got to the point where I moved on from after I'd retired from boxing and started training and managing my own fighters, and I always kind of felt that I was at the beck and call of everybody else, and trying to beg, steal, and borrow for opportunities.
Yeah.
So I got to the stage where I thought my stable's now big enough, and I believe good enough to start going out on our own now. Without blowing my own trumpet, I'm the only person from our area that's ever won a British title. Nobody from Hull's ever won a British title. The size of the city, the amount of fighters that we've brought through, and no one's ever managed to win a British title. And that's for the simple fact is Hull's never had a boxing scene. It's had a fantastic amateur scene, but when it comes to professional, everyone's had to go elsewhere. And I just thought, as the old saying goes, if you want something doing right, do it yourself.
But it's interesting. It's a great sporting city, isn't it? Two great rugby league teams, a successful football club. And everything's there to have a good boxing scene and good boxing clubs.
Exactly. If you go an hour outside of Hull, you go to Doncaster, Sheffield, Leeds. They've got British champions and everything, even top footballers. The top. I mean, we've produced Nicky Barmby, really, but that's only really the top one that's come from Hull. I think it's an area that gets completely forgotten about. And, we're here trying to change this. We're not just stopping in Hull either. I'm looking to branch out into other cities and just create some British champions, because I know how much it meant to me. And there's so many fighters that get left behind because they get forgotten about. Place in the northeast, Middlesbrough, we've got a couple of lads from there. They're in the same bracket as us, where no one really cares too much about what we're doing, and they need a foot up. So this is why 3156 Boxing is here to try and help them fighters.
Big night for Hull tonight.
Huge. I mean, they're absolutely flying.
I know.
I think at the beginning of the season, they were probably favourites to go down with a lot of people. And like every city, when the football team's doing well in that city, the whole place is bouncing. So I've taken my boys a few times to watch them this year, and they're doing really good. They're great to watch.
If Chelsea don't pick a strong team, they're in danger.
100%, yeah. And I think with Liam Mazzini going back to Hull as well, there'll be a little bit of added spice there.
His nan's a season ticket holder. His nan's a season ticket holder.
Really? Well, I actually tried to get a ticket myself, and I got the... we're sold out. So,
I see.
Okay, that stung a little bit.
Even for the ex-players. So it's nice that we're involved with you as well here at talkSPORT. So what's our role going to be for your promotion?
I think you guys are coming down to film it on the YouTube channel and give us the broadcast as well. Yeah. Hopefully we get Spencer Oliver down.
Oh, yeah.
So really looking.
Maybe you'll get Simon Jordan down at one point.
Well, his lovely wife is from Hull.
Yes, she is. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
So we'll extend an invite down to Simon. Yeah. That'd be great.
He's not always been the kindest about Hull in the past.
Oh, really?
Simon. He can be, as you may have gathered, he can be a bit blunt sometimes.
Yeah, he's a little bit prickly, Simon. And when I listen to him on the podcast, it's very clear to realise he doesn't really know the difference between a meat hook and a left hook. He does bring lots of eyes to the sport, and he's great for the sport, I think.
So when's the first 21st of March? I see.
21st of March at the Connecting Live that we've just signed an exclusive deal with, a fantastic venue, and we've got some great fights on top of the bill. We've got Red Johnson versus Rizard Lewicki, which will be an unbelievable fight. And only yesterday that got upgraded to a final eliminator for the English title as well. We've got Adrian King on, someone that you guys helped back in the day, got some sponsorship for Adrian.
Oh, good.
We've got Harry Powell, we've got Ted Jackson, we've got Louis Sylvester, lots of local top fighters on. And these are the next batch of British champions from our area. So we really appreciate your guys' support, and we're looking forward to really getting stuck in.
So tickets on sale at the Connecting Live website, or you can contact 3156 social media platforms.
And also, I rang the Connecting Live this morning, and 73% of the tickets have already been sold out.
Oh, that's good.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Which tells you that there's a market for people who want to watch some good boxing.
Sure,
in
we've had an
Hull,
amazing response.
Brilliant. Curtis, lovely to see you again.
You too, guys.
Thank you for popping in. We wish you well with a new career, and we're pleased to be part of it here at talkSPORT. And we'll be catching up with you soon when you're putting on world title fights in Hull. That'd be having fights in the football stadium. That would be nice.
We'll take that.
Yeah. There we are. That's Curtis Woodhouse there. Now, don't miss the Zone's stack schedule either. Fights every week, and next weekend delivers the big one. 3 fight nights, 1 unmissable weekend, only on DAZN. It all begins live from Nottingham next Saturday as the fierce rivalry reignites in a highly anticipated rematch. Lee Wood versus our old mate Josh Warrington. Then later that evening, live from Las Vegas, high-stakes clash, Ryan Garcia chases his first world title against Mario Barrios for the WBC welterweight world title. And finally, the return of Clarissa Shields as she faces Franchon Cruz Denzem in an undisputed heavyweight rematch next Sunday. So you can sign up to DAZN Ultimate and get all these fights plus a minimum of 12 plus pay-per-view fights per year, and that includes Garcia Barrios at no extra cost. You can watch all the fights only on DAZN.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
supported Arsenal all his life, and I just want to say that I fear for Arsenal again because I genuinely believe that Mikel Arteta's sets out his team not to lose.
Right.
Not to lose. Whereas Man City set out to win. And I don't know how you win something by setting out not to lose. And this is a problem we have every year. We get towards the end, and he thinks that by not losing, getting a draw will be all right. But every time you draw now and the other team wins, you drop 2 points in the Premier League. Yep. And so he's got a tried and tested method of failing. And if my reasons for believing that are, first of all, I've never believed he's going to get us over the line after his first full season. If you look back, I believe there was a moment. There was 8 games left to play. Arsenal were in 4th place. We were 5 points clear of the team in 5th, and we had a game in hand, and we still managed to finish 5th. And every season since then has been the same.
That was when you went to Newcastle and lost, wasn't it? I mean, I think he's got a great point because you compare, we were there, Sam, for both games. You compare Manchester City's performance at Anfield to Arsenal's performance at Anfield earlier in the season. Mikel Arteta went there to not get beaten. Pep Guardiola went to Anfield at the weekend, even at 1-0 down,
Slightly different,
to try and win the game.
Manchester City are in a situation now where they have to win almost every game. They have to attack it, whereas Mikel Arteta has come up with a strategy where he's plotting his way through the course of the season. I think it's risky, strategically.
And I think if they don't win it,
it's
it'll
a
be on the manager gaps.
Approach in terms of the fact that he's trying not to play gambling football, but it could be one that backfires.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. We have a little bit of breaking news. It was only a couple of minutes ago. We were chatting to our European football expert Andy Brassel about whether Tottenham would go German with Terzic and Rosa been linked. But it has just been announced that Igor Tudor has agreed to become Spurs interim head coach. He's the former coach of Juventus, played for Juventus, and of Marseille. He's someone who's often gone in as a bit of a red Adair to sort things out when there's been issues. So that will certainly be the role here. He's somebody who likes three at the back, and Tottenham have certainly looked better with three at the back recently. But they do have a lot of injuries, so he comes in at a difficult time with Arsenal as his first game in charge. And the players got 5 days off, so they'll be back on Monday. And I think they're going to have a tough week because he likes a high press and he's a very demanding manager.
At least he's got time to, implement his ideas.
He's got a week.
Fully. Yeah, well, that's better than Rossini had nothing. So a lot of them come in and they've got no time, and it's just play, train, play, rest. Whereas he's got this time. That make a difference, I think.
Yeah. So that is the word that Igor Tudor will be coming in as Tottenham's interim boss. I mean, I'm guessing with a view to doing a good job, doing a Michael Carrick.
Yeah,
and giving him a chance of a full-time.
It buys them a bit of time if Poch is available and they want to go down that route, or see who else is available. Glasner, there's a lot of good managers going to be available in the summer.
Let's have a chat with Ben Jacobs. Good afternoon, Ben.
Good afternoon.
So this seems to have. I mean, there was a story about half an hour ago that this could be in the offing, and here we are. It looks like it's done. He's agreed to do it. It was only at Juve. A few months ago, wasn't he? And when they sacked him.
Yeah, exactly. And this has moved fast because Tottenham's priority has been to get somebody in place by Monday. The players are off at the moment, but they need to get going ahead of a big North London derby that they're preparing for. So consideration number one, as we revealed on talkSPORT, was do you find a permanent manager or an interim? The decision has been taken that there's nobody that may be able to come in now that is the right choice. Part of that is because Mauricio Pochettino wants to naturally focus on the World Cup and was never going to leave before. And Roberto De Zerbi, even though he became a free agent, did hold some conversations with Tottenham, but indicated that he wants to wait until the summer as well. So then Tottenham had to go and find an experienced interim. There was never a chance of Harry Redknapp, but the likes of John Haytinger or even Ledley King were considered, but weren't deemed to be as experienced as Igor Tudor. So in the last kind of 12 to 24 hours, Tottenham have moved decisively, and there's now a verbal agreement in principle in place for Igor Tudor to join between now and the end of the season, but he is not seen as a permanent solution, which means Maurizio Pochettino and Roberto De Zerbi at this early stage remain the two front runners to replace Thomas Frank permanently.
The problem with this is, as well, is that footballers, you know what it's like when it's only an interim bloke. I mean, I know they don't always react like that, but there is a danger that they think, well, he's not going to be here in the summer.
No. I mean,
the only thing is their own sense of self-preservation. None of those Tottenham players are going to
you don't want relegation on your CV. And who knows? And we've seen, whether he's got the job permanently or not. If he does a great job, the fans warm to him, he works well with the board, they play a style of football. Who knows? It could be his job.
Well, they could beat Arsenal 4-0.
Yeah, I think it's probably fair to say, though, that Pochettino, De Zerbi are who at this stage Tottenham are waiting for. And the logic of Igor Tudor is very clearly just between now and the end of the season. They want somebody that can hopefully take Tottenham far in the Champions League. As you say, and a bit like Michael Carrick at Manchester United, although he is, of course, an ex-Man United player. If results go according to plan, if Tottenham go and win the Champions League, then Igor Tudor will turn around and say, put me in the process. And that's a great option for Tottenham to have. But the thinking is effectively they need to put the permanent solution to Thomas Frank on ice until the summer, when there'll be a ton of names available, including from the Premier League, the likes of Andoni Iraola, maybe Marco Silva as well, depending on what happens with both of their contract situations. And of course, Oliver Glasner as well. So there's so many coaches, Enzo Maresca, Xabi Alonso, Roberto De Zerbi, all are free agents at the moment, but they're waiting until the summer. And then you've got all the World Cup coaches. Julian Nagelsmann could leave Germany. We know Thomas Tuchel's extended, and so has Carlo Ancelotti, but Pochettino will almost certainly leave America as well. So being rash now, just to find a solution predominantly for the knockout stage of the Champions League, was not something that Tottenham wanted to do. And this is why they've gone down the route of a very safe pair of hands. Because let's not forget, compared to, say, Haitinger or King or Defoe, other than Redknapp, basically, who's got an incredible and very experienced CV, you've now got a manager that's been in charge of Juventus, Marseille and Galatasaray, and that's a good solution between now and the end of the season.
You do sense the hand of Dom Fabio here, don't you, Fabio Paratici, the former director of football who left only last month to go off to Fiorentina, because this does feel like Fabio Paratici has said, hey, I know a guy, because of his Juve connections.
Yeah, I mean, people will make that connection. And of course, Paratici was inputting to the contingency plans before he left, because Tottenham started thinking about a departure of Thomas Frank in the latter part of the year. But Vinay Venkatesham, the CEO, and Johan Lang, the sporting director, are officially the people that have led this process. But I'm actually told that Peter Sharrington, who, unlike Daniel Levy, is only a non-executive director, and more importantly, Nick Bosher, who is not on the board but has the ear of all of the members of the Lewis family, those two, I'm told, played a very active role in this appointment as well. But you're absolutely right to make the Paratici connection, because when succession planning first began, Paratici was still a staff member at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
I feel it doesn't matter who the manager is at Tottenham unless the board back him with Premier League ready players and sort out the medical department.
That's for the long.
Cannot be going through every season with 12 injuries. You know, we had this, and it is, you can sort it out. Chelsea have sorted it out, but it means resting players, not putting players in the red
Well, you
zone,
need a deeper quality squad.
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at a squad like Arsenal, which is deep and has a lot of quality, they're still picking up injuries.
Yeah.
You know, you can never completely avoid
No, you can't avoid it completely.
There's a quote that he gave a little while ago about his style, Ben. He said, I want courageous and intensive football, not only uniquely based on the defence. I want people to come to the stadium to be entertained and not disappointed. I think it's fair to say that the Spurs fans have been going to their stadium being very disappointed in recent months. So that should be some good news for the Spurs fans who are currently looking at Wikipedia and looking at his career.
Yeah, I think that's true. So Igor Tudor's style tends to be quite front foot and very aggressive, extremely direct as well. He likes playing through the centre. He's happy for his midfielders not to go as wide, particularly when they don't have the ball. And he encourages kind of explosivity, which is compact through the centre, win the ball back. And then you suddenly see overloads and then players shifting towards the flanks. So this is going to be a very organised Tottenham team. His preferred formations tend to be 3-4-2-1 or 3-4-3. So we're likely to see a back three, but let's see what he determines based on who he inherits. And somewhat like Ange Postecoglou, not in demeanour or personality, but in philosophy, I should say, he is a bit gung-ho as well. So Tottenham fans should be treated to some entertaining football.
Yeah. He currently doesn't have 3 fit centre-backs, really. I mean, he has 2. He has Dragusin and Van de Ven. Well, and, 3 games still banned for Romero. So I think a 3 would suit those 3, actually, for what we have left.
Gray's quite versatile. He might be able to...
Yeah, I mean, obviously Gray would have to step in, but it would certainly suit Porro, who's not a great defender, but is better going forward. So we shall see, Ben. Thanks for jumping in so quickly and telling us more. We'll catch up with you soon.
Interesting, isn't it?
Cheers, guys.
Ben Jacobs there. A little bit more on Igor Tudor. So Spurs fans, we'd like to hear from you. That's come out of left field. It was only half an hour ago. We got a bit of a whisper of this at talkSPORT, and then suddenly it looks like it's been done. So they've made an appointment on an interim basis, I suppose with a view to it working out and him keeping the job. But Igor Tudor, most recently at Juve, looks like he's got the gig, certainly to the end of the season. 03717 22 3344, talksport.com/H&J, text to 81089, tweet to TSH&J. Robin Devon said he was a little bit worried by all the German connections and was getting sort of Christian Gross flashbacks. So, well, it didn't come to that in the end. So, we'll get more reaction. Let us know what you think. 03717 22 3344, talksport.com, text 81089, tweet to TSH&J. We were talking Hull with Curtis Woodhouse. They play Chelsea tonight live on talkSPORT, the 4th round of the FA Cup. And Tan Keslow, who was the vice chairman, will be joining us for a chat a little bit later on. So that's all to come.
The irony is, I think Arteta is one of the best managers to grace the Premier League for a long time. I think if anyone can, and I just think we just need to play.
Sorry, say that again. What did you say? Just say that Arteta's one of the greatest managers to ever come into the Premier League.
Yeah, can you not hear this evening?
But what are you on about? He ain't won that. He ain't won nothing.
No, but he's a young manager. Wenger came second 3 years on the trot, and then he won the league. You got to give these guys time. And I think
but you just said you've been found out.
Yeah.
Sorry. Do you say that Arteta's one of the greatest managers to grace the Premier League, or recent? I missed what you said. What did you say?
I said Arteta is one of the best managers.
Yeah.
He's come into a club.
Yeah.
I don't know which one of you are talking, but one of you is a Tottenham fan.
No, go on. But I want to know what you said.
He's come into the club. He's changed the culture of the club from something which was.
Yeah, listen. Just say what you said.
Well, I can't remember what I said now.
I can't remember what you said. You said it. Did you say he's one of the greatest managers to grace the Premier League?
Yes, I did. Like what?
One of the greatest. One of the greatest.
Yeah.
To grace the Premier League.
Yeah. Shall I say it again and then you question me whether I said it again?
Yeah. Do it. Say it.
Yeah. He's one of the greatest managers.
No, that's not what you said.
The Premier League.
You said managers. You said managers. Anyway, let's get away from that because
No, I want him to say it again.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. We're hearing Tottenham are on the verge of appointing Igor Tudor as their interim boss till the end of the season. The former Lazio and Marseille manager is seen as someone who can have an instant impact as Spurs look to stave off relegation. Ben Jacobs has more.
This has moved fast because Tottenham's priority has been to get somebody in place by Monday. The players are off at the moment, but they need to get going ahead of a big North London derby that they're preparing for.
Pep Guardiola's become the latest high-profile figure to speak out against Sir Jim Ratcliffe's comments on immigration.
Don't make me feel better just for the fact I was born in one place different for the other one. And most of the people run away from their countries for the problems that are in their countries, not because they want to leave. And as much we embrace the other cultures, embrace it, but truly embrace it, that we can be better.
Ratcliffe since apologised for offending some people after saying the UK has been colonised by immigrants. Manchester City, meanwhile, take on Salford City in the FA Cup fourth round live on talkSPORT 2 tomorrow. Tonight, though, Liam Rossini takes his Chelsea side to his former hunting ground, Hull City. That one's live on talkSPORT. And as well as bringing you 10 FA Cup fourth round fixtures across the network, we'll be bringing you live updates from Murrayfield tomorrow. England look to win the Calcutta Cup and maintain their hopes of a Six Nations Grand Slam. Captain Maro Itoje is back in the starting lineup. He started from the bench against Wales last weekend after missing the start of camp due to the death of his mother. Speaking to talkSPORT, he says the England squad have been an incredible support for him.
Being back in this environment, an environment which I love so much, an environment which I cherish, it's been good for me to be here. So I'm very much looking forward to hopefully continue.
And breaking news in the last few minutes, we're hearing that Manchester City's midfielder Rodri has been charged with misconduct in relation to the comments he made about the referee after that 2-2 draw. He said, "I know we won too much and the people don't want us to win, but the referee has to be neutral, and for me, honestly, it's not fair." Rodri has until Wednesday the 18th of February to respond to these. You can get more on all of this at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
An army soldier says he is grateful to be alive after the man who stabbed him repeatedly is sentenced to life in prison. An Arctic blast. There's a new weather warnings for snow and ice this weekend. More from the news team in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, where we've got more premium tyres than the number of times you'll hear, "Ooh, it's a bit nippy this winter." Book today at quickfit.com.
Rain continues to move south with Northern Ireland and Scotland, seeing some sunshine, snow showers around the coast across the south, staying cloudy and wet, but eventually clearing later.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. The breaking news in the last 10 minutes or so is that Igor Tudor, the former Juve coach, is to become Tottenham's interim head coach. And we'll bring you more on that. You're probably thinking, Spurs fans, well, why did Juve sack him if he's that good? Well, we'll find out. Daniele Fisichella is going to join us later on, our Italian football expert, and tell us more. Harry Symeou joins us in this hour. What did we learn from Brentford Arsenal last night, apart from the fact it was a cracking game? David Coulthard from the world of F1 is joining us on the day that Max Verstappen has been pretty outspoken about the new regulations in the sport. So David joins us for a chat. And we'll have a Falls panel. It's Hull-Chelsea, which is live on talkSPORT tonight. Tomorrow at 12:15, we've got Burton Albion versus West Ham. And then Liverpool-Brighton tomorrow evening. We'd like you to predict the scores of those games. Take us on. Jim Proudfoot, Scott Minto. 03717 223344. That's 03717 223344. Call us now. We'll call you back. Get you involved at 2:45, and you can be our panel beater today. And that's the number to call if you want to have your say on Igor Tudor and that appointment at Spurs. But we shouldn't rule out the rugby. Of course, a huge weekend of Six Nations rugby. We were speaking to Pierre Schumann yesterday of Scotland out of the Calcutta Cup.
I love his accent. Very Scottish.
Very Scottish accent. Yes, that's true. I don't know how that played with our next guest, who is the CEO of Clapham, the Clapham Falcons, of course. And a man we often turn to for a rallying cry for the England boys, and we certainly need one ahead of the Calcutta Cup. It is Archie Curzon. Good afternoon, Archie.
Good afternoon, lads. It's an absolute honour to be here, especially with breaking news. I had my money on Pardew
going to Spurs.
Well, yeah, I think he was in the betting.
That's how much I know about Kevball. But look, it's great to be here. Feeling a little bit dusty after Thirsty Thursday in the city yesterday, but real privilege to be here on a full body Friday. That's what we call it in our office, because me and a couple of guys, we go to the gym on Friday and just work out all the muscles. Your legs, your backs, your arms, your ankles, your everything,
everything.
Yeah,
I
full
can
body.
see you've had a full workout.
Yeah, the shafts is feeling good, mate.
Yeah.
Shafts is good.
So we were saying last week, who did we have on Monday? We were chatting to, Will Greenwood. How can I forget his name, for goodness sake? World Cup winner. Will was on. And we were saying it was actually a bit sad watching England take Wales apart. I'm guessing that's not the way you felt at Twickenham.
Well, look, I was there at the Allianz Stadium. I'm captain of the Allianz Faithful, and it was a bloody good corporate day out, I tell you. I saw a few brown envelopes being passed around. But yeah, look, I put Wales as, they're like the front row for my rugby team. They struggle on a night out. You know, it was like watching the props in my rugby team on a night out. Just no confidence, didn't know what they were doing. And I felt sorry for Wales. But look, England are on form, they're on fire, and I think they're going into the Scotland match with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, it's not a place they traditionally do that well, though, and Scotland, of course, in any sport, whenever they play England,
Do you take the trip up to Murrayfield normally?
Oh, look, I would love to be there in Edinburgh, because it's pretty much like Clapham.
Yeah.
A lot of my Scottish friends actually live there. I mean, they don't have a Scottish accent. They're the kind that sort of have estates out in Scotland.
Yeah.
But I can't. Unfortunately, there's a lot of business to be done in Clapham. It's a busy time for us. It's our harvest season. It's our Christmas time. It's when EBITDA in the Clapham area is the strongest. And I love talking about EBITDA. EBITDA. Amex points and how expensive watches are. I'll ask you that when we cut.
Yeah, that's right. Andy, you want to?
That looks
see
nice.
Andy, you like that one? I'm afraid my one is.
Oh, that's okay. I've got an Apple Watch. I like to try and complete my rings. I'm nearly there today.
Well, after that workout you've had, yeah. So you're feeling quite buoyant about England, Archie, at the moment.
Yeah, I'm feeling buoyant about the market and England rugby team. But look, Scotland are going to be dangerous. They're coming off a pretty surprising defeat to Italy. So we will see. But this will be a big test for Steve and the boys.
Yeah.
To see where really they are. I mean, look, they're on a 12-match winning streak. And I think this will be a real test because, look, Scotland have got an incredible backline. You got Finn Russell, you got British Lions in the centres, and Glasgow, the team in Scotland, are top of I don't know what the league is. I don't watch it, but they're top of their league. So they're doing well. So it's going to be an interesting match. I can't wait. I'll be in the pub screaming players' names at the TV and just letting everyone know in the pub I know the rules of rugby.
Yeah, that's
How's your own career going? Because
my career, it's good. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not in a suit today. It's mufti day. We wear mufti in our office. But yeah, look, the market's buoyant. There's business to be done. I'm feeling. Feeling good. I'll put it this way. I've just been skiing and I'm going to Dubai later in the year. So it's good.
There we are. That's a mark of success in anybody's eyes.
I have to say, last time I came on, I had a great response from a lot of people up north. I got a lot of inboxes on my Instagram. People saying, Archie, you're a complete...
I can imagine.
I took it as that's their kind of banter. And I just wrote back to say, thank you so much.
It's just banter. Now, you're not going to be there in the dressing room at Murrayfield with the boys, but we would love you to put a little rallying cry for the England boys who are going out there to try and win the Calcutta Cup tomorrow. And I think let's stir the boys. Here we go. Let's try.
Yeah, I mean, look, you've come to me. I'm the CCO, the Chief Chat Officer. That's what I do. I rally the troops, whether it's the boys in the change room for the Clapham Falcons or my team in the office before we go and close a 7-figure deal.
Yes.
But, look, I'm not there, but if I was, I'd love to get in the change room with the boys. I'd slam the door shut, usher Steve and the coaching staff out, get the boys in nice and tight. I'd take my top off, lather myself in deep heat. I'd look them in the eyes and say, boys, what a privilege. A privilege to play Scotland in Scotland, to create history. If there's anything Braveheart, the film, has taught us is that Scotland may win the battles, but they won't win the war. And the confidence in this team is sky high, boys, and I absolutely love it. We've got a saying in my office: strong confidence equals market dominance. And what I'd be saying to those boys is take this opportunity, because life is about opportunities. Look, I'm very successful because I've taken my opportunity. The opportunity to work for my godfather's company, the opportunities that present to me every day on the phones, on LinkedIn, or the opportunity to do business with people I went to school with. And lads, it's 80 minutes. You can do what, 2.5, maybe 3 very good Teams meetings. And I will leave you with this, boys. The lock forward for the Clapham Falcons, no chat pat, okay? Got zero banter, offers nothing on a night out. He once snogged 3 girls in Infernos in 80 minutes. So, look, anything can happen. Be prepared.
Bit of perspective there at the end.
Very much so.
Archie, always a pleasure. Thank you for popping in.
Do you mind if I just do a quick shout out to the wing, Lewis Brook for the Clapham Falcons, big fan of the show.
Right.
We call him Cheetah because obviously he's very quick and he's never faithful to his wife.
Oh, okay. So okay. Well, marvellous. I'm sure she's not listening in. It's a bit like the Winter Olympian who won bronze, isn't it? Thank you, Archie.
Always, thanks very much for having me.
Archie Curzon there, the CEO of Clapham Falcons. David Coulthard will join us very, very shortly. We're going to talk a bit of F1 and a bit of Formula E, which, according to Max Verstappen, are kind of fusing together currently. We'll talk Arsenal last night against Brentford, cracking game, and we'll have a Falls panel plus some clips later on. And we'll continue reacting to the breaking news that Igor Tudor, the former Marseille, Lazio, and Juventus coach more recently, Udinese, a man who went in as a bit of a red Adair at a couple of clubs to sort things out when things weren't going right, is likely to become the interim boss of Spurs. That's all to come. We're here with our good friends at Tool Station. Gear up for those darker nights with electrical and lighting offers. Next stop, Tool Station.
Speaking on the Overlap Stick to Football podcast, and Postecoglou criticised Tottenham's transfer strategy while claiming his former side are not a big club in the wake of Thomas Frank's sacking.
You know, when you walk into Tottenham, what you see everywhere is to dare is to do. It's everywhere. And yet their actions are almost the antithesis of that. Right. It's a real curious in terms of understanding what are they trying to build? You know, what are they? Is it... There's obviously, they've built an unbelievable stadium, unbelievable training facilities. But when you look at the expenditure, particularly, you know, in their wages structure, they're not a big club. I saw that because when we were trying to sign players, we weren't in the market for those players. It's just who we are, mate.
Oh my God. To dare is to do. What do you lot do? You do nothing. What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, look.
What do you do? What do you do? Do you dare?
Well, we're not doing, are
we? Do you dare? And then once you've dared, do you do doing?
Well, we're not doing it at the moment, are we?
Are you daring?
Well, we dared, and we won the Europa League.
And are you still doing it?
No. But I'm so sick of talking about Tottenham. I mean, look.
It's your job.
No, I know, but it's just like... you know,
it's not my fault, is it?
Manager coming on.
Don't start having a pop at me.
It was absolutely garbage in the Premier League. All right, he won the Europa League, but you know, got a 0% win ratio in the Premier League at Nottingham Forest. Didn't want to mention that on Stick to Football, did he? So,
what do you mean?
Well, you know, it's very easy to come out and start saying this and that. Like, I agree with some of the stuff that he's going on about signing players and getting big players over the line, but maybe they didn't want to play for him.
Hawksbee and Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Just before we chat to David Coulthard, Matt, the Spurs fan, has got in touch. A regular on Spurs Matters here on talkSPORT. Good afternoon, Matt.
Hello, mate.
So,
nice chatting to you. Obviously, we never come across each other because you don't sort of put up my decibels on the anxiety.
Well, we just, I mean, this is your window, though. It's lovely to talk to you at last, Matt, or Angry Matt, as you're known here at talkSPORT. But there's anything wrong. We had plenty to be angry about in recent years. So, what do you make of Igor Tudor then?
Well, to be honest with you, mate, you know, I don't know him, and
well, nor do I.
Really, yeah.
Oh yeah, I went on holiday with him last year. Brilliant.
Yeah, even to be honest, even if whoever comes along, Joe Blogg, whatever, it doesn't make no difference. At the end of the day, you got that squad, you got those players. You know, can you really tell me? You know, I've heard Harry Redknapp coming on and saying, "I'll get this football." He ain't going to do nothing with them individuals, because if a goalkeeper keeps coming for a cross and he keeps missing it, you know, you can't blame managers for that. And I heard on the show earlier on, this is what gets me going. Alex Crook coming out with, "It ain't Daniel Levy's fault," you know, and then he turns around and says Tottenham Hotspur aren't a top four side. They weren't a top four side. Between 2015 and 2022, we were a top three side, if not a top two side at that period.
Yeah.
And without no transfers, and playing at Wembley Stadium, not having a home stadium. So we know we're a big club. We know we've got the potential, but the problem is, like, you know, I've spoken to a lot of people today, you know, that you know, trying to sort of work out the issues at the club, and they go, fundamentally there's something behind the scenes that's wrong.
Oh yeah,
and,
no, that's I mean it's
don't say.
No, I mean there's something horribly wrong at the top. Matt, we can't take you off your long run today because David Coulthard awaits, but it was nice to talk to you, and if you want to react to that news about Igor Tudor, and I do completely take your point that a manager in isolation is not going to make a whole lot of difference. So, 03717223344. Daniele Fisichella is going to join us to tell us about his time at Juve.
You only need a little lift, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You win 2 or 3 games, it'd be enough. The points that they've got already.
Starting to get a few players back, but he has so little to work with at the moment, especially in the system he likes to play with 3 at the back. But anyway, let's turn to the world of Formula One, Formula E.
Very
and there's a kind of bit of a crossover between the two in the new F1 cars that are 50-50 split between electrical and in the old traditional internal combustion
It
engine.
sort of strikes me with the new regulations that if it suits you in your car, you think they're great.
Yeah.
If they're not, your car's not running that well in testing and all this, not so great. I don't like these rules.
Let's get the thoughts of David Coulthard. Hi, David.
Yeah, how you doing, guys?
Yeah, good, thank you. As I say, I think there's going to be people have been enjoying Formula E anyway as it's grown, but I think this kind of crossover from the worlds of Formula One and Formula E are going to put more eyes on the sport.
Yeah, I think so. I think, season 12 of Formula E, it's been steadily growing its own fan base while, being 100% electrical energy. And Formula One, as you've just mentioned there, it's gone to 50-50 for this year, having previously been sort of 60-40-ish, maybe a little bit less last year. So some of the drivers enjoying that experience, others not enjoying the fact that there's a lot more management to go on around the lap. But I guess a bit like Matt, you just said on the call there earlier, you're never going to please everybody.
No.
Why did they change it, though? I mean, wasn't the Formula One really going well and Drive to Survive, big crowds? I mean, why have they decided to change it?
It's all part of the development. I mean, the sport's always developed. I mean, people have been saying that Max Verstappen's not happy, but could he retire? Could he go off and do something else? But wait a year and it could all be very different, couldn't it, David?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, when it comes to racing, when the lights go out, you just want to be fast and you want to be first. So testing, he's in, believe it or not, his 12th season of Formula One. So he's been around for a few years. He's built the respect of his competitors. He's got the right to have an opinion in terms of the driving experience. But he'll not be thinking about that when he gets to Melbourne. He'll just be thinking, right, how do I exploit this potential to the best of my ability? And there'll be a winner at the end. That's the wonderful thing about racing. Once all the talking stops, it's about the stopwatch and it's about the checker flag.
Yeah, it's the street races. You're in Jeddah, aren't you, for Formula E currently? A couple.
Yep.
That must be exciting.
Yeah, it is. It actually uses the same facility as the Formula One racetrack. It's a little bit shorter, 3 kilometres, which is better suited, obviously, to Formula E. But it's a great little track. I had a drive around earlier today. I think I would have been pretty good on a track like this. It's lots of straights followed by chicanes. It's all those sort of fast sweeping corners of Silverstone and Suzuka. They were the ones that scared me.
You've just had qualifying, so who's looking good at the moment?
Yeah, we've got Eduardo Matara is on the pole position. He's looked really strong all the way through free practice. We've got Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche team lined up alongside him. So we've got, as all these races are going to be decided by strategy, they've got pit boost as well to give them an extra little bit of energy during the race. So, yeah, strategically, it will come down to the boffins in the garage, advising the drivers when to push and when not to.
I like this idea of pit boost. I could have done this when I had an electric car. Adding 10% of the car's total battery in 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, so much of what happens in motorsport feeds into the sort of everyday in people's cars. So I think this will go down well with electric car owners.
Yeah, well, that's exactly why Formula One is going down the route, to come back to an earlier point. Why is it going down more of the 50-50 split? It's because that's where the OEMs are building their cars and selling their cars. So Formula One tries to remain road relevant whilst developing new technologies. And sometimes that captures the imagination of the drivers and the fans, and sometimes it falls a bit short.
Yeah. Can you understand the frustration of Verstappen and Lewis and one or two others who are saying that they don't feel that the cars don't feel they can drive them flat out. They don't feel they can be as fast as they want to currently.
I can, because they've lost an element of what they previously had. So, if I was to give you an iPhone 3, even though it was brand new, you're not going to thank me for it, because it's a little bit, less advanced. But in the end, when the lights go out, it's racing, and the best driver will exploit the potential of all of that technology to the best of his abilities. But of course, I'm sure the governing body, the FIA, are not enjoying the fact that they're outspoken in a way that could be seen as negative. And I'm sure that Liberty, the owners of Formula One, in one hand would probably prefer they weren't saying anything other than just how wonderful it is. But meanwhile, back in the real world, there is no such thing as bad publicity. Formula One is riding on a crest of a wave. Brad Pitt's just come off the back of his biggest grossing movie in the F1 movie. They're talking about doing F1 2. But they'll have to call it something different.
Yeah, they will. It's going to get very confusing.
That's no good.
A lot of people talking up George Russell, saying this could be his year. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, well, look, I spoke to Max a couple of days ago, and he, when I asked him, who's your competitors, he went, anyone with a Mercedes engine. Well, there's 3 teams that got Mercedes engines: Mercedes themselves, McLaren, of course, and Williams. Williams looking a little bit on the back foot. So, yeah, right now, if you had to, place a bet, then probably George Russell for world champion is not a bad bet. But never write off Max. And I was reading earlier that Ferrari have been quite good on the long runs. So maybe a newly loved up Lewis Hamilton will rediscover his form, and he'll win his 8th world title.
That could be that's around Valentine's Day could be the difference for him. Yeah. And finally, did I read you've got a new podcast out, David?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, Up to Speed. It's just been launched on Global, and we'll be putting out our first episode next Monday. So looking forward to that. And we've got a diverse group of people. You can tell by the colour of my hair, I'm representing the more mature audience.
Yeah, you're explaining who Fangio is, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. Turn left, turn right, mirror signal manoeuvre. But we've got Naomi Schiff, a former racer, Will Buxton, of course, who's seen as the voice of Drive to Survive, and Jolie Sharp, who represents all things new and exciting.
Fantastic. Good to talk to you, David. Enjoy yourself over in Jeddah. Sorry. Have a good time. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
There we are. This David Coulthard there, talking a bit of Formula E. So you can catch the Formula E, those 2 nights of races on the streets of Jeddah in Saudi, live on talkSPORT 2 from 5 p.m. Go and check it out. And as we said, there's going to be so much more of a crossover in the F1 cars now. So
yeah.
It's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Just a reminder of the breaking news in the last half hour. Igor Tudor, the former Juve coach, is going to take over at Spurs on an interim basis. We'll get more reaction to that. We'll find out how he did at Juve in that last job. He got sacked from about 3 or 4 months ago, with Daniele Fisichella, Italian football expert, later in the show. But we're talking Brentford and Arsenal next, after a cracking game last night. Andy was there to witness it. And Harry Simeo, Arsenal fan, tells us how he's viewing life as an Arsenal fan after that 1-1 draw.
Alex Cook has been crowing about this for the last 24 hours because, of course, this has been his motto. He said, I felt like Tottenham was saying, we're one of the big boys, and the reality is, I don't think they are.
Well, it's interesting. If I've been saying that in an Australian accent and holding up the Europa League trophy for the past 6 months, maybe Tottenham fans might believe me a bit more because he's their hero, isn't he? Despite the fact he finished 17th last season. And he's right. He said all the things that I've been saying. They're a big club in terms of the training ground is fantastic. The stadium is the best in the Premier League, if not the best in Europe. But they're not a big club in terms of trophies won, in terms of global fan base, when you compare them to the likes of Liverpool and Manchester United and Arsenal, especially now that Son is not there anymore, because that did open up all kinds of avenues for them. And they're not a big club in terms of the transfer fees they pay, because Dominic Solanke is still their record signing at £65 million. And they're not a big club in terms of the wages.
Well, actually, that does make them a big club in world football because there's not many clubs that play that sort of money for players. Most of them are
Premier League,
Premier League
big club though.
But wages is a big problem.
Yeah, but they're not paying pennies here. Like, what we're talking about here, maybe they don't pay £300,000 a week, but I can imagine some of the Spurs players are on close to 200. I would imagine so.
Well, they certainly shouldn't have a wage bill. Their wage bill is not 17th, 16th in the Premier League, is it? There's no way that can be the case.
No, but I also think what Ange was saying was that when he finished 5th in his first season,
we should be going.
But that was an overachievement, really, when you look at where Tottenham have been in the Premier League era. I know they had a few golden years under Mauricio Pochettino, but they're not an established top 4 team. They're not.
Ahead of Liverpool's FA Cup game at home to Brighton, live on talkSPORT tomorrow night, Arne Slot's selection headaches are keeping him up at night.
It took me a long time before I could fall into sleep because I was constantly considering what options I have for the lineup or what I should do, because indeed, do you play the same players again or the others? Is this a moment for the others, but which others, in which position?
Well, that's one of 10 fourth-round ties live across the talkSPORT network this weekend. Elsewhere, Ali McCoist reckons Arsenal's draw at Brentford is a good point for the league leaders and still thinks they'll win the title.
It might just be the best squad I've ever seen in English football. I'm not necessarily saying it's the greatest team, that was obviously up for debate, but in terms of the 22 that they've got, can you ever remember a stronger squad anywhere?
Blessing Musrabani has taken 4 for 17 at the T20 World Cup, leading Zimbabwe to a 23-run win over the Aussies. And the Ukrainian skeleton pilot, who's banned from the Winter Olympics, is having his appeal heard with CAS today. Vladislav Heriskevich was told he couldn't wear a crash helmet covered in pictures of Ukrainians killed during Russia's invasion while he's competing.
I should be today part of the Olympic Games, part of the competition, but not part of the hearing. So we continue to fight for our truth.
Well, the IOC has called it a political protest.
Here's Nkapie towards the far post. It's a header by Madueke, who heads it back across the face of goal. A beautiful cross from almost nothing from Nkapie. Madueke hung in the air and he launched the ball towards the far post. And Arsenal, with their first shot on target, have the breakthrough at Brentford. It's Brentford 0, Arsenal 1.
Coyote. He's approached the white line of the side of the pitch and launched it into the middle of the penalty area, and it comes from the far post and it's headed home by Keane Lewis Potter. He doesn't miss this header. It was flicked on at the near post by Ayer and then helped on towards Keane Lewis Potter, who gets an equaliser for Brentford. It's 1-1.
Yes, not the result Arsenal wanted, certainly. Cracking game for the neutral. Sorry?
KO'd, not the first one.
Not the first or last. It would be KO'd, certainly. Andy was there as a neutral. And
Neutralish.
Neutralish. Well, of course.
I always want Arsenal to lose, let's be honest.
Well,
I can't claim to be neutral.
No, OK, that's fair enough. As a Chelsea fan, I think Harry Simi, who's with us, who was there as an Arsenal fan,
wanted them to
will respect that. Good afternoon, Harry.
Good afternoon, guys. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Did it feel like, do you come away from that thinking, do you know what, a couple of Igor Thiago chances, were you thinking good point or not?
I think at the time, last night when the game ended, it was difficult to see it as a good point because, you go to a place like that, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to weather the storm at some point. And I thought Arsenal came through a sticky patch in the early stages of the game and then started to take control towards the end of the first half. And the start of the second half from Arsenal was excellent. And once you get your noses in front, you normally look at this Arsenal team and you sort of trust them to see the game out. But they couldn't deal with the onslaught from Brentford. It was set pieces. It was balls in behind the back line, testing Christian Mosquera, who was obviously in for William Saliba. And so it's really difficult. It was really difficult at the time to say that's a good point. But I think having slept on it and looked back at the game now, I think when you look at Arsenal's overall performance, which was nowhere near where it needed to be, and at how good Brentford were, I think you kind of just have to draw a line under it.
Was it nerves? Was it personnel? Was it a bit of everything? Did you sense there was a bit of tension after what City had done the night before?
I think there's a bit of tension around Arsenal, generally speaking. And I know that there's a lot of Arsenal fans out there that are trying to kind of play that down. And I think the reason they're trying to play that down is because they don't want to almost speak it into existence.
Yeah.
But we haven't won the league for over 20 years. There's going to be a nervousness.
Yeah.
There's a group of players there that have done incredibly well but haven't got over the line yet. So it's natural that doubt's going to creep in at certain points. And I think they've got to find a way of navigating it as best as possible. But last night, I thought the balance was a little bit off. I thought some players looked fatigued. I think there were players in there that we were looking at as players that needed to be major contributors on the night. I don't want to pick on individuals, but Eberechi Eze was a great example of that. And he just didn't do it. He didn't step up. He didn't produce what Arsenal...
I've read a load of nonsense about him on social media today because you think, give the
saying he's a duff. I don't think he's a duff.
He's a good
sign.
player.
No.
It
no
takes
one's saying
time.
that.
I mean, you're more worried about Gyökeres. So it's the first time I saw him live against Chelsea, but I thought last night, I just looked at him and thought, his touch isn't great, is it?
I thought in the first half there were a couple of decent touches, and that feels like an improvement based on some of what we've seen of Gyökeres this season. It does feel in the last month or so he's turned a bit of a corner. He's found the back of the net quite regularly, and obviously that's good. But I thought he faded in the game. And one of the things I was really surprised by was that Mikel Arteta didn't introduce Gabriel Jesus, who has come on at times since his return and given us a spark, given us something different. I think you got to look at combinations in this Arsenal team. Once Martinelli's on, you want Jesus around him rather than Gyökeres.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
That was one of the decisions I couldn't work.
And very funny. Sorry, I just want to make this point. But it's very funny. David Raya complaining about people crowding him. Seriously, if I was the referee with that, I would go, "Are you serious, mate?
Yeah.
Look at what you do."
Yeah. Andy was sort of saying, Arsenal got the goal and then dropped off and said, "Okay, we think we can see this out," which against Brentford is incredibly high risk.
Is he?
Yeah. So I mean, did Arteta get it wrong? You think?
I think we need to really be careful what we kind of label as being Arteta's instruction and what is just the players.
Yeah.
Because I was watching Mikel Arteta really closely. I was sitting in the press box just behind the dugouts and Mikel Arteta was waving, get forward, get forward.
Yeah.
He's really wanting his team to be aggressive and on the front foot. And it feels to me like it's the players that are going into that.
That can happen.
Yeah, and it can happen. And I think that kind of speaks to the point I was making about the nerves and stuff. But I think when your technical level is not where it needs to be, and it wasn't for Arsenal last night, and you can't get your foot on the ball and you can't start to dictate the game and force the pattern that you want, and you play Brentford's game, which is what essentially Arsenal did as a result of what I've just said, you run a massive risk. And on the set pieces, I don't want to bore everyone with what's so great about the set pieces, but I've looked at it from an Arsenal perspective a lot over the course of this season. And it is about putting the ball in an area where you need a one-touch finish, close to the goal, in the goal mouth, high probability of a chance coming from there. It's about the delivery. It's about attacking from the blind side as a runner. It's about creating an environment where the goalkeeper can't come and claim it, not because you're fouling him, but because you've shut down the space for him to move into. And as a goalkeeper, if you haven't got that space to get the momentum and get up and jump, it becomes difficult. And Brentford dealt us a bit of our own medicine.
He's got the best throw in the Premier League, guy, because everybody else is, even if it's far, it looks, his is like an arrow. It just comes in flat, doesn't it? It's really difficult to deal with. I still think, neither City or Arsenal are going to win all 12 games. Unlikely, I'd say, at this stage. So, a lot of it, everyone's pointing to that big game. It doesn't always work out like that, but probably whoever wins that game,
Yeah, and you got to, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think either side's going to win their remaining games. I think you have to learn, if you want to get over the line, how to ride these waves. And, last week it was, Arsenal have extended their lead. This week it's Arsenal's lead has been eaten into. Arsenal go and play Wolves on Wednesday night and can potentially open the game.
That's at your place, yeah?
No,
why are they playing that game on Wednesday? Because nobody else is playing,
It's to do with fixture congestion. It was rearranged at the last minute, which is a little bit frustrating. You'd ideally prefer it not to be this midweek with the North London derby coming up next weekend. But I suppose the good side of it, if from an Arsenal perspective, is that in the FA Cup on Sunday, they're probably going to make wholesale changes. And so it might not be that impactful.
Wolves have improved, though. I mean, I know Arsenal should beat them. But even so, I was saying earlier...
They didn't create much the other night.
No, they're more difficult to beat, and they can, they won't. I don't think they'll trouble Arsenal, but we'll see.
On the North London derby, having seen how poor they were against Newcastle the other night, Harry, you probably would have preferred Thomas Frank to have stayed in the job for that game.
Forever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've had the pleasure of speaking to Thomas Frank on many occasions, and I really like him. Even as a Spurs manager, I didn't really enjoy watching Thomas Frank going through what he was going through, because I think there are other reasons for why Spurs are where they're at, to be honest with you. But yes, I'd have preferred him to stay in charge for one more week, because
he's a good man, and he's been dealt a difficult hand. There's no question.
I mean, whatever Igor Tudor can do in the short space of time, he has so few players to choose from. And he's a man who likes three at the back, and that's probably going to mean Paulinho or Archie Gray having to play in the three, because we don't have three fit centre-backs.
Yeah, and what I will say is, as someone who covers a lot of Italian football, Igor Tudor's not going to be any more exciting than Thomas Frank. No. Really? So if the style was the problem, I know this is an interim appointment, but if the style was the issue that many people had,
They just need someone to keep them up. I don't think anybody wants to see, I don't want to see tiki-taka now. I want just them to stay up. Yeah. And if somebody can come in and get them organised defensively, that'll do for me at the moment.
And it's noticeable with Spurs that every time I've seen them this year, and they played on the front foot and really gone for it, they look miles better than when they sat back. But,
The only bad omen, I would say, is that Igor Tudor would finish in the top 5 of a Christian Stellini lookalike contest. And, of course, that didn't turn out particularly well, did it? Conte's assistant, who stepped up and I think had us 5-0 down after about 10 seconds at Newcastle. It felt like that anyway. So, Harry, thanks for popping in.
Thank you, guys.
Just a quick one on the run-ins. I'm sure you've poured over yours and City's run-ins. Who's got the better in yours?
I think City have got the better run-in.
Okay.
I think City have got the better run-in. I think we've just come out of the back of a period where Arsenal had the tougher games. I think it turns back around now. And obviously, that big game that you mentioned is at the Etihad.
Yeah.
Between the two sides. So there is a bit of an advantage there. But then Arsenal have got the points in the lead. So
yeah.
And you got Chelsea at home. I mean, it's
it's got 0-0 written all over.
No, we never get anything there.
Thank you, Harry. Thanks for popping in.
Cheers.
Broadcaster, podcaster, and Arsenal regular Harry Symeou there. Still to come. We'll have some clips of the week. Tom Macklin joins us. And Daniele Fisichella tells us more about Igor Tudor and the job he did at Juve. But the Falls panel's next. Scott Minto's in for Stan. Jim Proudfoot is our commentator. We'll have a talkSPORT listener joining us to look at 3 big cup games, which you'll hear on talkSPORT this weekend. We're here with the good people at Toolstation. Get winter ready with heating and insulation essentials. Next stop, Toolstation.
Let's go to Alan, who's a Man City fan. All right, Al?
Yes, good evening. I've got a little song for you at the end for the Arsenal fans as well. But do you know what, Arsenal? Man City are a snake, and they've had their foot on our necks where we've been weak, and they should have cut our heads off and buried us in the sand, and they've not. And now we're going to come back and beat them, and we're going to win this title. And in a couple of weeks after we play them at the Etihad, when we give them a footballing lesson, you can ring me up and I'll come on the show again, because Man City are a better team to watch than what Arsenal are. And he's coming on. The Premier League trophy's coming back to the Etihad. And listening to these Arsenal fans tonight, we are right in there, Ned. All the memories of all the years previous are all coming flooding back. And we're going to win the league. And I'll give you my song now.
Go on in. Is it clean?
Crumbling again, ole, ole. Crumbling again, ole, ole. Crumbling again. Crumbling again. Crumbling again, ole, ole. Can't wait to see that.
All right, Al. Listen, Man City fans are. If they're listening to the show tonight, Man City fans, I think they'll be thinking.
Do you know what it does do, though?
Tell you what.
It gives us. We have got a proper title race.
Yeah.
A proper title race. It's not a bad point for Arsenal. I still don't think Man City are quite the Man City that we've seen win a title.
No, but
they could do. They could.
They look all right. They're looking all right. You know, Diaz, Gay at the back again. O'Reilly, fantastic. Nunes has played all right.
Mate.
Rodri, you know, mate.
I'm not. Look,
you know, they've signed Semenyo, Haaland scoring, Foden.
It's Falls Panel time then, and we're going to go through three of the big games this weekend, which are live on talkSPORT in the FA Cup. Try and predict the scores. The producer's just coming in.
Sean with the
tell us where the standings are at the moment. It's all been happening. We've got a bit Igor Tudor mad, so we're a bit off our game. These are the standings. You get 3 points if you get your predictions absolutely right, and 1 point for getting the outcome right. Of course, nothing for getting it wrong. And that's exactly what Andy got in the midweek special. 0 points.
No.
He stays on 32. John, the Spurs fan, also
20 points behind Stan.
Didn't get any points. John, the Spurs fan, they got 0. They're on 37. So that's between the callers and the commentators, there's a 10-point gap. Is that right?
Honestly,
or is that just a bit
I should sack myself and bring in somebody else to do this.
The commentators, Ollie Klink got 2 points. They're on 47. I'm on 47. I got 1 point, but Stan Collymore stays top on 52. Stan can't join us today, but we're delighted to say Scott Minto has kindly stepped in. Good afternoon, Scott.
Afternoon, chaps. I'm under pressure now, aren't I, with that?
Stan won't be happy with you if you drop him down the table. So it's good, though, with Chelsea playing. It's good to have you on chatting about that. Let's say hello to Motty, the Spurs fan. Hello, Motty.
Good afternoon, chaps.
What do you feel about Igor Tudor's temporary appointment?
I'm just working out the song. I'm thinking there's only one Igor Tudor.
And that's it, isn't it? Igor, that's Igor. There's that, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's not much. Or green sleeves. Maybe we can all sing. Somebody can bring a lute to the game rather than the trumpet player. Just a few ideas there for the club. Jim Proudfoot's our commentator this afternoon. Good afternoon, Jim.
Hi, good afternoon, fellas. Nice to speak to you.
One of the games you're commentating on, you're doing Burton West Ham for us, aren't you?
Yes, well, two of the games, actually, because I'm on my way to Hull right now.
Oh, right. Well, so you're doing tonight, as of course.
Okay,
Blimey,
yeah.
a busy man. Fantastic.
Right.
So you would have done your research, so you got no excuses for not getting lots of points this week, Jim.
Well, you'd think.
Well, let's get underway then, shall we? As the pros are top, Scott will kick us off. Hull City versus Chelsea tonight. A big night for the Rossini family with his Nana Hull season ticket holder. So what do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I think it will be good memories for Liam coming back, and listen to the owner on this morning, and I think he's still got a lot of respect for Liam. Interesting, for him, it's not about the results; it's about the style of play. I always thought it was the other way round, but he's the owner; he can do whatever he wants. And you look where they are in the league, and they're absolutely smashing it, really, aren't they? Punching. Don't think they're going to quite make the top two, but if they make top six, that would be an incredible season. Look, they're a very chaotic side. They score, they concede. I know they've got a few key players who might be out tonight as well. So I think that would be a blow, but I think they'll try and go at Chelsea for pace. In terms of Chelsea, well, I don't see them slipping up here. I really don't. I think Liam would pick a very, very strong side. The Premier League clubs don't have to worry about sort of midweek games apart from Arsenal. So look, he can do as long as he wants. I fancy Chelsea strongly here.
Well, give us a score, Scott.
I'm going to go 3-1.
3-1, okay. I was about to write that down myself. I'll go 3-0. Sorry, Hull, I know they're in good shape, but they've got bigger fish to fry. They may make a few changes. I think Chelsea will win this tonight pretty comfortably. Jim, what do you think?
I think it might be a little bit closer than that. I mean, I think that Chelsea will make changes because there are still players that Liam will want to have a look at. So we might see the likes of Sarr playing tonight, potentially. Hull will make the odd change. I think Dylan Phillips will come back in goal, for instance. Cody Drummer might play, but I think it'll be a good atmosphere there. I love the FA Cup because of the amount of travelling supporters that you get, and always builds the atmosphere. But I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea, says Jim. Motty, the Spurs fan, what do you think, Motty?
I mean, obviously, I'd love to see Chelsea lose, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm thinking 4-1 Chelsea.
4-1? Oh, blimey, okay.
Cut him off, really.
Yeah, that's right. Hold on. What did you just say to Harry Symeou about wanting Arsenal to lose? You can't have it always. You've got to be able to take it if you give it out. What do you think, Andy?
I think a lot depends on the team he picks. If he makes too many changes, that will play right into Hull's hands, and he may need to turn to the bench and the likes of Palmer. I have a measure of this. If Badashield's in the starting lineup, the other team's got a great opportunity.
Good chance he'll start.
If he doesn't, then then it could be very tight. It could be 2-1, like Jim's saying.
You going 2-1?
Yeah.
2-1, says Andy. talkSPORT listeners home in the car. Next up, League One, Burton Albion versus West Ham. That's live on talkSPORT tomorrow. Of course, as Jim said, he'll be commentating on Hull Chelsea this evening, 7:45. What about this one, Scott?
Yeah, look, again, it's not just because it's another one of my old sides, but I fancy West Ham strongly here. I really do. They're up against a side. I think when it was probably picked, West Ham were not in a good place at that particular moment, but I think they've in a much better place now in the way they've turned things around. Against the Burton side, who are in the relegation zone, 2 points from a possible 15. They drew at bottom club Port Vale in the last game as well. And look, they've had it quite easy in the FA Cup so far. I wish them all the very best in terms of they don't get hammered, but I genuinely think it's really important for West Ham here to continue the good feeling. You know, they've got Saturday, so they don't have to worry this month about midweek games and fixture pylons. Why not just play as strong a team as possible, get a really good win? Because imagine if they lose, and suddenly the pressure that would pile on them. So I'm going to go for a comfortable 2-0 win for the Hammers.
2-0 the Hammers, says Scott. Yeah, again, I think it'd be quite comfortable, but maybe a goal in there for them. I'm going to go 3-1 to Burton. Jim, again, you're going to be bringing us the commentary on this one. What do you think?
The one thing I would say about Burton, their recent form hasn't been very good, but they've tended to play better against the better teams this season. Their record against the other sides in the bottom 5 of League One's been really poor, but some of their better performances have come against teams that are going to have the majority of possession. Burton undoubtedly going to miss their best player, Charlie Webster, who's been out for 3 months or so. He's getting close, as I understand it, to being back, but they are really missing him at the moment. I think that they will score. And I take on board everything that Scott says about the Hammers' recent improvement, but I think Nuno will make the odd change. I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham.
2-1 to West Ham, says Jim, your commentator tomorrow. Motti, the Spurs fan?
Well, since West Ham have won their cup final for the year playing against us, I think they've turned it around, but I'd 3-0 West Ham.
3-0 West Ham, very comfortable for them. And Andy?
Well, yeah, it's difficult for the managers not to make changes. If you've got a squad and you don't use them in a game like this, then you've got to face them all next week. It's quite tricky, so I think he will make changes, but it doesn't matter because I think they'll still win 2-0. 2-0.
Says Andy, and so I'm giving Burton, or Jim's giving him a goal, and a bit of a tight game. But there we are. talkSPORT listeners home in the car. We've also got, that's tomorrow lunchtime, Liverpool-Brighton tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock. Scott, what about this one?
Well, there's obviously a bit of pressure on Arne Slot, making sure they finish in the Champions League places. If they don't, then that will be a disastrous season. But kind of has to win a cup, or at least go deep into to one of them, if not the Champions League. It'd be easier on the FA Cup. So again, look, they haven't got a game for 8 days after they play. They're up against the Brighton side, who are, they're a poor side at the moment. They're in a poor vein of form. And listen, whether he makes changes or not, I just feel Liverpool against this Brighton side at this moment in time, again, will win reasonably comfortably. I'm going to go for Liverpool 2-0.
2-0. You do expect both of them to make changes, don't you, for various? You see Mamadashvili and Chiesa and players like that, you imagine, will start.
Yeah, it's just
Liverpool.
to give them a chance. Scott's right. Everybody's got a week off, in effect, apart from Arsenal and Wolves. So
yeah, I think because it may be a bit disjointed, I'm going to go 2-1. I'll give Brighton a goal, but I think Liverpool have enough. Jim?
Well, it was interesting the other night at Sunderland. I thought it was a much better Liverpool performance. They created more chances, though they didn't take as many as they would want. Defensively, they had a bit more grit and resilience about them. And Andy Robertson was telling us after the game about the importance of winning ugly, which is something he felt they hadn't been able to do. But if you look at the last 2 domestic cup eliminations that Liverpool have had, Plymouth last year at this stage in the FA Cup, where Arnie made loads of changes, and then he made a stat for the Palace match at home in the League Cup as well this year. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of team he puts out. I find this a difficult one to call, but you've got to side with Liverpool, I think. I'll go 2-1.
2-1, says Jim. Motti, the Spurs fan?
Yeah, I think 2-1 as well. 2-1 Liverpool.
Yeah, it's got that feel to it. But Andy, you need the point, so you're going to go something
The only
else.
thing I'd say about Brighton in this game is Hertzler needs a result.
Yeah.
So he's not. I wouldn't imagine he's going to rest too many of his best players.
Did you see a draw in 90 minutes?
Not really. I don't think there'll be a lot in it. I'm going 1-0 to Liverpool.
1-0 Liverpool. talkSPORT listeners home in the car. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Scott, for sitting in today. Appreciate it. All the best. Enjoy the game tonight.
Cheers, guys.
Jim, safe journey. We look forward to hearing you tonight and tomorrow. We'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. Have a good weekend.
And thank you, Motti. Stay tuned. We're going to find out more about Igor Tudor and the job he did at Juventus.
Thanks, Jim.
So there we are. That was the Falls panel. And we are going to find out a little bit more about what Igor Tudor did in Italy and how this move came about from Daniele Fisichella. And we'll have Todd Macklin joining us. A bit more of the Super Bowl fallout. They had 1 million people in the street in Seattle.
Really?
For the Seahawks celebration.
Normally quite lively, those.
And there's quite a story in the NBA which we'll tell you about. Tan Kessler's going to join us as we continue talking in Hull, our game tonight. Hull Chelsea. He's the former vice chairman and someone who was a party to bring in Liam Rossigna into the club as a coach. So we'll catch up with Tan later in the show, plus the clips of the week.
one I found a little surprising was the Nottingham Forest when I saw the stats. 35 shots at goal Nottingham Forest had. I think it was 11 on target. And it was one of those nights when you can't blame the manager for that, can you?
No, definitely not.
You know what I mean?
Definitely not.
35 attempts at goal against Wolves, 11 on target, 0-0. And unfortunately gets sacked because of it, you know what I mean?
And did one or two of the players not say that the training methods weren't right and we didn't feel comfortable? Well,
Usual.
35 shots, 11 on target. Yeah.
If owners are starting to listen to players about what training's like and what they're doing, we might as well all pack in as managers or coaches, because players are the first to show their disagreement if this isn't right or that's not right. I mean, they're not learned, they're not coaches, they're not managers, they haven't gone through the years of experience that people go through, they haven't gone through all the degrees you need now to become a coach or a manager, like you mean. So they should take it on board and get on with it. And results are the most important thing. I know people talk about the style of play. I mean, that is important, of course. Entertainment and style of play is important, of course. But that comes after winning first if you're down at the bottom and struggling a little bit.
Yeah, Sam, I think you're an expert at a lot of things, but I think the most impressive thing about your management is you actually stop teams self-destructing.
Talk Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. We're told Tottenham have reached an agreement with Igor Tudor to become their interim boss till the end of the season. Our reporter Ben Jacobs says Spurs moved decisively to bring in the former Lazio and Marseille manager.
Tottenham had to go and find an experienced interim. There was never a chance of Harry Redknapp, but the likes of John Haytinger or even Ledley King were considered, but weren't deemed to be as experienced as Igor Tudor.
This potentially opens the door for a permanent appointment of Maurizio Pochettino after the World Cup. talkSPORT understands the USA manager is willing to return to North London after the tournament. Pep Guardiola has responded to Sir Jim Ratcliffe's comments about the UK being colonised by immigrants. Pep says we will have a better society by embracing other cultures.
Everybody want to have a better life, a better future for themselves, for the families, for the friends, or for whatever. And sometimes opportunities comes in the place where you were born and in the place that maybe you go.
Ratcliffe said he was sorry his choice language offended some people. City take on Salford in the fourth round of the FA Cup live on talkSPORT 2 tomorrow. Elsewhere for them, Rodri's been charged by the FA for misconduct relating to his comments about the referee after City's 2-2 draw with Spurs. He said the ref has to be neutral. It's not fair. And Maro Itoje's praised his England rugby teammates for being an incredible support for him in the wake of his mother's death. Itoje's back in the starting lineup to captain England, who face Scotland in the second round of the Six Nations. Remember, we'll be bringing you live updates from Murrayfield tomorrow afternoon.
Talk Sport News.
2 men have been given life sentences for planning an Islamic State-style mass shooting of Jews, and another set of warnings are in place as Arctic weather sweeps in. More from Sangeeta in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Rain with some snow will affect central parts of the UK today. Southern England looks mild with bright spells and heavy showers. Scotland and Northern Ireland will be colder with sunshine and wintry showers.
Power on talkSPORT. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Just before we chat to Italian football expert Daniele Fisichella to find out more about Igor Tudor and his managerial career in Italy, Ben Steele joins us from Paddy Power, and we're going to look forward to tomorrow evening as Villa play Newcastle in the fourth round of the FA Cup for our bet builder. Hello, Ben.
Hiya, how you getting on?
Yeah, not so bad. Just briefly explain how the bet builder works.
Yeah, we'll do short. It's 5 selections, one from each of the three of us, one from your producer, and then a final pick that's been a popular one with the Paddy's punters so far. We'll combine that into a bet builder on the game, looking to win some money for the Attitude Foundation, who do a lot of great work helping the LGBTQ community.
I've gone for that old chestnut. Both teams to score, and I think that's probably likely to happen with the changes both teams will make.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, look, obviously, last time I was on this, we had a winner, and I was looking back at it. Your pick was both teams to score in a Newcastle game. Actually, the last month or so has meant goals for Newcastle. They've been both teams have scored in their last 5 games. In fact, the last time they failed to score was against Villa in the league game at the end of January. But I still think it's a pretty good pick. It's they're both, as you say, fairly sort of punchy in terms of going forwards, aren't they?
I was tempted on your one as well, Andy. What have you gone with?
I think it might be a draw at 90 minutes.
Yeah. Look, obviously they had Newcastle in particular. They had that crazy sort of back and forth 3-3 draw in the last round with Bournemouth before they won on penalties, and they'll be buoyed by that win in midweek. I don't know, Andy. Can we push you for a winner in extra time? Obviously not part of the bet, but
well, you've got to favour Villa. They're the home team, so ultimately you think they'll go through. But I think it'll be a tight game.
Yeah. Producer Sean, Morgan Rogers to have 1+ shots on target. I mean, we won't know the teams, but we have the Paddy sub thing that you do. Tell us more.
Yes, we do. Yeah. So obviously, worth clarifying as well that despite Andy's pick for a draw, if Morgan Rogers does have a shot in extra time, all the player picks in this bet are only valid for the 90 minutes. Rogers is obviously he's Villa's main man, really. I presume he'll be pretty pleased with the news that Tuchel's staying on as England boss as well. And what is probably, I would say, the showpiece game of the weekend, he'll be expecting to have a few goals from distance, which we know he's obviously really good at. Scored some great goals already this season, hasn't he?
So we move on to the People's Pick, a very popular bet with the Paddy Power punters having a bet builder. Joe Willock to have at least 1 shot on target. Of course, he kind of scored, if you don't believe in VAR, the other day against Tottenham.
That was another ridiculous.
It was one of those. But
mad.
He's looked lively recently. That's not a bad shout, this one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look, obviously, I think that's probably one of the closest offside decisions I can really remember, to be honest.
It'll be 8 minutes
ever since Joe Linton's been out injured, he's sort of come into that starting role. He's 7-5 to have a shot on target. I was actually wondering if perhaps there might be room for the sort of former Villa man Jacob Ramsey, who's obviously scored in midweek as well. His goal did count. He's 17-10 as well. But the people have gone with Joe Willock, who's probably a slightly safer bet to start.
And what's your pick, Ben?
So I've gone with Newcastle defender Malik Chow to have 1 shot in the game. He's actually, I was surprised looking back through the games at this. He's had 8 shots in the last 4 games. Obviously had 2 in very quick succession when he scored against Spurs in midweek. He's a big threat from set pieces. He doesn't even have to get that shot on target for it to be a winning pick. So just the 1 shot on target, 1 shot, from Malik Chow.
So what are we looking at overall then, Ben?
So that combines into a bet builder that's just under 20-1, meaning that if we're lucky enough to have found a winning bet again, we'll be donating £207, including stake, to the Attitude Foundation. Reminder again that those 3 player picks on Rogers, Willock and Chow are covered by Super Sub, but are also only valid for the 90 minutes if the game does go to extra time.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ben.
No worries. Thanks very much. Cheers,
Ben,
guys.
still there from Paddy Power. That's Paddy's bet builder for today. Minimum odds 1 to 5 per leg. 18+, begamblerware.org.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18+, begamblerware.org.
Here at talkSPORT, we've been told that Vitor Pereira, the former Wolves manager, has just signed his new Nottingham Forest contract, and he will be in charge for the foreseeable in an effort to keep them up. It seems to be the day for Red Adair-like managers coming in, yeah.
I mean, I like, Forest and their fans, and Mac, we get on very well with Max Scott. But honestly, the way he is, the owner, if they did go down, it would absolutely serve him right. I think a lot of people would be very pleased to see that happen.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm clearly not the Forest fans.
No, but do you know what I mean? Just the way, I mean, that was just the maddest decision, I think.
We had John, the Forest fan, saying to us yesterday, they love his passion. They love the fact that he wouldn't spend the money on the team. He wouldn't do what he did. It's a complete, he was saying it's the sort of antithesis of Enoch, who are very hands-off and fairly
4
passionless.
managers in one season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's right.
It's ludicrous.
But I think the Forest fans do cut him a lot of slack. But, I mean, we know Max is worried. We were just chatting to him off air. Yeah. But we'll see what happens. And the FA Cup, Port Vale Bristol City has been postponed tomorrow after a pitch inspection. and will be rescheduled for Tuesday, the 3rd of March. I doubt if you've set off already from Burslem to Bristol. It doesn't take that long unless you're walking or doing it on a push bike. But that one's off. See, do something else tomorrow afternoon. Listen to talkSPORT, Adrian and the gang around the grounds. So, Igor Tudor's got the gig at Spurs, it looks like, on an interim basis. He was most recently at Juve and was sacked after a bad run of defeats. So let's chat to Daniele Fisichella, Italian football expert. Hi, Daniele.
Good afternoon.
Has it surprised you, this appointment?
He has surprised me in the sense that a manager that has been sacked by a top side gets hired midway through the season, but perhaps that's the way the world of football is going. And look, he left Juventus in a bad way, because when Juventus sacked Tudor, they were winless in 8 games and had not scored in 4 consecutive games, which was something that never happened since 1991. So obviously he was a bad spell of his second season in charge of Juventus after he got hired midway through the season last season. However, if there is a man that can take a team midway through the season and achieve the result, it's Igor Tudor, because that will be already the 7th time in his career that he takes a team midway through. And in the last 2 times he did it, at Lazio first and then at Juventus, he achieved the results, qualifying Lazio for the Europa League, finishing 7th in 23-24, coming in March, and doing the same, but qualifying Juventus for the Champions League last season with only 9 games to go in the league and losing just 1. Therefore, in terms of the profile, I think it could be the right profile. I still believe he's a very, very good manager. Perhaps at Juventus this season he's been slightly unlucky in the second part of his spell. However, he did some mistakes. He was confused, perhaps tactically, and also in terms of communication. But I do believe for him, this represents a very good step in his career for a manager that up until 12 months ago was considered one of the best picks in Serie A.
Interesting. We've had sort of conflicting views on his style of play. You know, we've heard that he's very attacking and forward-thinking. Somebody else said he doesn't. What sort of style does the team play?
I mean, this is the team he needs to keep up, so I'm sure he'll have an eye on that. He does favour 3 at the back. He has got some personnel issues because of injury and suspension currently at Spurs, but he does like 3 at the back, doesn't he?
Yes, 3-4-1-2, 3-4-2-1. That's his preferred choice. He is very much a manager in the mold of Antonio Conte, in the likes of that. He wants the back 3 defense, and he wants a lot of intensity, a lot of aggressivity. His football, in a way, it's a bit simpler, if you like, than some of the other managers. When Juventus hired him last season following Thiago Motta, he simplified the way they were playing. He wanted Juventus to play higher up the pitch, and he wanted the players to win the individual duels, the battles across the pitch, which he was able to do last season at Juventus. And now he inherits a team, Tottenham, that are already quite keen at pressing high in the Premier League. I was checking the stats before. Tottenham have got the 4 highest passes per defensive action. It's a metric that measures how many passes the teams allow before launching a pressing. So it's a very pressing side. The problem with Spurs is that they don't normally convert those high turnovers into shots or into goals. So I think Tudor will probably gonna establish that. However, this season at Juve, the problem is that he spent half of the season up until October without a clear tactical plan. And whereas the back 3 was always the cornerstone of his footballing ideas, he changed often with a 5 in midfield. He couldn't quite use the Juventus' best talent, Kenan Aldiz, often relegate him on the left-hand side. And yes, you're right, Juventus did struggle to score goals and creating scoring opportunities this season, but I think it was more due to the tactical confusion that Tudor had. But I think it was also unlucky. If you look at the results, Juventus played Inter, Milan, Como right at the beginning of the season. And then when it comes to the Champions League, the first 3 games that Tudor was in charge of was Borussia Dortmund, Villarreal, and Real Madrid, which was the 3 toughest games in Juventus' schedule so far this season in Europe. He won none of them, and also he had a very bad injury to Gleison Bremer, the defender of Juventus. However, since Juventus have changed manager and hired Spalletti, the results have improved and Juventus are scoring more goals, which suggests the potentials of that team with Tudor, they've not been quite unlocked.
I think you've cheered the Spurs fans up in some areas by saying he's good at coming in and simply getting his ideas across, but I think the last couple of statements could be a bit of a red flag for the Spurs fans, Daniele. But we shall see.
All about results.
It's all about results, especially with a team struggling, and he'll have 6 days to prepare for Arsenal.
Arsenal are going to be,
Yeah, there'll be nerves, of course.
So, and it's funny with football, Spurs do win that or get a good draw out of it, then...
Who knows? We shall see. Daniele, that was brilliant. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Daniele Fisichella, Italian football expert, filling us in on Igor Tudor's recent times at Juve. I'm sure there'll be lots more chat about this in Drive. We're going to turn to the world of American sport next with Todd Macklin, as always. Bit of Super Bowl fallout and stuff going on in the NBA. It's All-Star weekend. And they've got problems with tanking, which Todd will tell us more about. I mean, anyway. Well, if you don't know what it is, we'll explain all. And the clips of the week all to come. We're here with Tool Station. Stay one step ahead, whatever the job. Next stop, Tool Station.
Thomas Tuchel signing a contract. Is it because of the fact that the FA were concerned he was going to go somewhere else?
Listen, I think it is. I certainly think he was on Manchester United's list. Who knows? Maybe he would have been on Tottenham's list as well. And I think that's why they had to get this done, because what you don't want, if you're the FA, and if you're an England fan, you don't want Thomas Tuchel going into the World Cup with constant speculation that he could be leaving for a Premier League club job at the end of the tournament. I think getting that out of the way, he can focus on the job in hand. I don't think England will win the World Cup. I think there's a lot that counts against England winning this World Cup.
What happens if we lose in the quarterfinals? Does he continue as England manager?
I think I don't think we should underestimate if he gets to the quarterfinal of a World Cup. When you go back pre-Gareth Southgate, which is your argument, we'd have bitten your hand off at the quarterfinal of a World Cup.
Are you going to defend me on that?
No, I'll defend you because I think Gareth Southgate should have won a European Championship. I think they should have beaten Italy in that final. However, pre-Gareth Southgate, England didn't get to quarterfinals and finals of European Championships. So I don't, and it's a tough draw, by the way. You talk about draws. I was there when the draw was made in Washington. England have got to take out some big hitters to get to a quarterfinal.
So where does he have to get to keep his job done?
I think the quarterfinal is par. I think anything beyond that is success. Do you agree?
The likelihood is that they're going to have to go to Mexico and play Mexico in Mexico City, which is going to be a difficult thing to do, although Mexico traditionally don't ever go any further than the last 16 of the World Cup. Then their quarterfinal, if everything goes to plan, which it never does, so it won't be this, is supposed to be Brazil in Miami.
Oh, it's very hot, isn't it, Miami?
It's more likely that might happen.
But if England lose to Carlo Ancelotti's Brazil in a quarterfinal, are you going to say that's failure?
Well, I do look at Brazil's squad of players and our squad of players. I'll say we've got a better squad of players.
Lots to squeeze in with Todd Macklin, our man on American sports. Hiya, Todd.
Hi, boys.
A million people on the streets of Seattle, apparently, for the Seahawks victory parade.
Yeah, listen, a Super Bowl parade does draw a crowd, guys. That's right. That's the way it works. Just an incredible sight to see the fans coming out in Seattle. I think the weather was good during it, but as usual in Seattle, it rained after it. But again, you can't rain on their parade. Super Bowl champs again for the Seahawks.
How are people reflecting on the game now the dust has settled? It wasn't a classic, was it, really?
That's being kind, Paul, to call it not a classic. I think it's a game that if it wasn't the Super Bowl, not a lot of people would have stuck around until the end of the game. Hey, listen, it's just Seattle's dominance.
Yeah.
Really, that's what it came down to. And they don't care that the game was close, and either did the million people that were at the Super Bowl parade, right? They just wanted to see Seattle to continue to be dominant, and they absolutely were this past Sunday.
They asked Sam Darnold, the Seahawks quarterback, who's got a great story. We talked about it last week. A guy that no one wanted, was thrown out of a bunch of teams, and there he is winning the Super Bowl. The Seahawks, who he'd like to play him in the film. And he said, Brad Pitt. I mean, Brad Pitt's 62. Sam Darnold's 28. He hasn't really thought this through, has he, really?
You know what, though, Paul? I don't think it matters that with Brad Pitt. I just think if you got an opportunity for Brad Pitt to play you, I don't think it matters what age. And you definitely know box office. People are going to go watch it, right? If Brad Pitt is playing with you, And listen, quarterbacks and movies about them. The Kurt Warner story, right? Kurt Warner was stocking shelves at a grocery store, went on to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. So there's something, right, in the past that, these Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, people are really interested in their backstory, and they certainly are now with Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold also suggested Rupert Grint, Ron Weasley, and Harry Potter, so maybe he wasn't taking it that seriously. Now, I was telling Andy the other day, I showed him some pictures of a full-scale brawl in the NBA between the Pistons and the Hornets. 4 players were ejected. The police even got onto the floor at one point. Wow. Isaiah Stewart got the heaviest suspension, 7 games, the Pistons centre. But you were telling me, Andy, it's very rare that happens, considering, the close proximity of the players and the atmosphere and how supercharged it is as a sport. This doesn't happen very often, Todd, does it?
No, because you do get suspended. And I think, a lot of people point to ice hockey where they don't fight like they used to, but you still can fight. In the NBA, you fight, you're going to get suspended. And, Isaiah Stewart, for him, it was leaving the bench. That was the key thing. That's why his suspension was so long. But it's the Pistons again. Remember, decades ago, it was the Malice at the Palace, the Pistons and the Pacers had that incredible brawl where players went into the stands. Thankfully, no players in the stands. But listen, there was a lot of tension in that game. The Pistons are number 1 in the East, and the Hornets were probably the hottest team in the East. So there was, a lot of testosterone, and the Pistons won out. And I think that was probably a big part of what led to the fisticuffs. And again, with NBA fights, again, different from hockey. Yeah. In the NBA fights, guys are throwing punches as they're backpedaling, right? in the ice hockey, they're standing there toe to toe.
Yeah.
In the NBA, they're backpedaling as they're kind of throwing punches at the other guy. So it's a lot of times funny to watch.
Now, I was reading a feature about tanking in the NBA. And this is teams deliberately, as the season unfolds, setting out to lose, knowing they're not going to win anything in the course of the season, to get as low in the table as they can.
This is the problem with having a draft system and no relegation.
Yeah, exactly. So the lower you are in the league, you get the better pick in the draft. Now, this has always gone on, tanking in the NBA, but the guys at Sports Illustrated are claiming that it's now reached epidemic proportions, and the NBA are going to have to step in because it's getting beyond a joke.
It is, it is ridiculous. And you combine it with the NBA that guys rest all the time. Like, that's separate, right, from the tanking. Just the NBA now, right, is just guys don't play back-to-back games. any sort of injury, they keep them out. So you add that into the tanking. Yeah, I don't know what you do about the tanking. You know, they brought the lottery in, right? So it wasn't just if you were the worst team, you got the first pick. Now it's a lottery, right? You're among a group of teams. If you don't make the playoffs, you've got a certain amount of odds to still get the number one pick. But the way teams are trading their first round picks, and they're protected. So you could trade your first round pick, but if it falls in the first 5 picks, you hold on to it. If you don't, it goes to the other team in the trade. So yeah, there's so much going on. And guys, it basically comes down to this. You don't want to be in what's called the mushy middle. So you're not great, but you're not terrible, right? So you're just kind of good enough to kind of get into the bottom seeds of the playoffs, and kind of year after year, you're okay, but you're never great. And teams are saying it's better to kind of bottom out and try and get the top players and be great. And that's why, again, that's one of the elements you see why so many teams are tanking at the moment.
Yeah, it does seem a flaw in the system. We're time for time. We're going to have to reflect on the All-Star game next week, but we must just do this story quickly. Washington Wizards mascot G Wiz has lawyered up and filed a domestic violence lawsuit against the Lakers' Jackson Hayes after Hayes pushed the mascot as he tried to head towards the tunnel. Hayes was coming out onto the court and pushed him over. He got a 1-game suspension for it, so he shouldn't have done it. But yeah,
you don't push mascots. But I will say this: mascots, right, to try and get the crowd into it, always interact with the opposing players. So I would say they're culpable too when we have these situations, player on mascot violence.
Good stuff, Todd. We'll catch up with you next week.
See you, boys.
Still to come this afternoon, clips of the week, and Tan Kessler joining us, the former vice chair of Hull City, to talk about the return of Liam Rosenior and the game against Chelsea tonight, which is live on talkSPORT.
You know, when you walk into Tottenham, what you see everywhere is to dare is to do. It's everywhere. And yet their actions are almost the antithesis of that. Right. It's a real curious in terms of understanding what are they trying to build? You know, what are they? Is it... There's obviously, they've built an unbelievable stadium, unbelievable training facilities. But when you look at the expenditure, particularly, you know, in their wages structure, they're not a big club. I saw that because when we were trying to sign players, we weren't in the market for those players.
I was stunned. I was absolutely... I thought it was disgraceful.
Did you?
I thought, honestly, I couldn't believe what I was listening to. The club have given him £7 million. He's blaming everyone but himself.
No, we've got him a trophy.
Yes, but for his sacking, he's blaming everyone. But when I sat down on the day of the final, Daniel Levy comes up to me and goes, I've been in 8 semi-finals and final. We all laughed.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? That's not his fault.
I don't want to know that. That should be private.
No.
He's giving you... Honestly, he didn't blame himself. Did he ever say, I wasn't that good?
No. No, but
let me tell you now, if you're listening, Ange, I know you won't, but if you're listening, the reason you were the worst Spurs manager in 50 years.
Most successful in the last 20.
And the reason you got
Is he the most successful in the last 20?
Yeah, but I've already told you why, right?
No, but is he?
Not in the league, no. All I'm saying is league.
When they look back, though, they'll go, and you were successful.
No, because okay, before him, who's the last manager to win something?
Juan de Ramos.
That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you're a good manager. The last 2 have been appalling. The last 2 have been appalling. But let me tell you now, right? The reason he got sacked by Spurs The reason he got sacked after 39 days at Forest was because he's not a very good manager. And he never looked at himself once. He never blamed himself once. It was never his fault.
Ahead of Liverpool's night.
It took me a long time before I could fall into sleep because I was constantly considering what options I have for the lineup or what I should do. Because indeed, do you play the same players again or the others? Is this a moment for the others? But which others in which position?
Well, that's one of 10 fourth-round ties live across the talkSPORT network this weekend. Elsewhere, Ali McCoist reckons Arsenal's draw at Brentford is a good point for the league leaders and still thinks they'll win the title.
It might just be the best squad I've ever seen in English football. I'm not necessarily saying it's the greatest team, that was obviously up for debate, but in terms of the 22 that they've got, can you ever remember a stronger squad anywhere?
Blessing Musrabani has taken 4 for 17 at the T20 World Cup, leading Zimbabwe to a 23-run win over the Aussies. And the Ukrainian skeleton pilot, who's banned from the Winter Olympics, is having his appeal heard with CAS today. Vladislav Heriskevich was told he couldn't wear a crash helmet covered in pictures of Ukrainians killed during Russia's invasion while he's competing.
I should be today part of the Olympic Games, part of the competition, but not part of the hearing. So we continue to fight for our truth.
Well, the IOC has called it a political protest.
Of the week on talkSPORT with Toolstation. Proudly behind the trades that work so hard for the nation. Next stop, Toolstation.
talkSPORT Clips of the Week.
Clips of the Week with our good friends at Toolstation. And I'll kick us off with Alan Brazil on Breakfast, who was sent a music quiz by Shabana Hearn.
As the rules go, you hear the first bit of the song, you have to name the artist, and you get an extra point for naming the song.
Go on then.
All right. DJ James, let's do it.
Yeah, Tim Shady, or what his name is.
Yeah, that's right, Tim Shady.
Yeah, was it the real...
N and N, as I call him.
Was it the real Tim Shady?
It probably was.
So it's a great name. A great name. Hi, I'm Tim Shady. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah. Estate agent. Sticking with Shaban, she did seem very excited by the prospect of this upcoming fight when speaking to boxer Ruth Rayburn.
I'm really excited about tonight. It's going to be a firecracker. I tell you what, this one has got every ingredient to be a Fight of the Year contender.
Oh. What was that? What was that, Shaban? Oh. I'll have what she's having. Fantastic. Bizarre. What's next, then?
It's Tony Cascarino on Weekend Breakfast recalling hostile atmospheres he played in.
When you played a game, and I've had some stick in my career, and you felt it on the pitch and the boos and the stick that you'd have your family in the stands and they're shouting abuse about what you're doing.
Blimey, that's a bit rich.
Sure
even Cassie's family turned on him. That's not good, is it?
No, it's not right.
This is winter sports expert Scott Dixon on Breakfast, talking skiing.
And that's the thing, is like we don't have the snow in Scotland or even in England. So, it's not like we can go into our back garden and just, put the skis on. But the Norwegians are literally born with skis on their feet.
That sounds painful for mum, doesn't it?
It does, really.
I want a bit of gas and air on that. I want the epidural in very early.
Back to Alan Brazil on Breakfast.
Yeah. Good morning, 18 minutes past 6 o'clock. God, these board worms are no good.
I think it's pronounced bourbon, Al. That's the last time I looked. And next, Andy.
Oh, we get the feeling that math wasn't Dean Saunders' strong point at school.
No, not maths.
4 managers in a year. So you add it up. Just say they all got 5 million each for getting sacked. 5 million each. Just work that out. In compensation, he's paid out. Yeah, he's worked that. So it's madness.
He's definitely backing away from working out 4 times 5, isn't he?
Quite tricky, isn't it?
So that's 4, and that's I take my shoes and socks off. So why don't we drop in on Jim White on mid-mornings and see what's going on?
My bum's been many things, but it's never been squeaky.
Well, there we are. I think that was worth making the visit.
Very good, really.
And it'd be nice to have got a bit of context on that, really.
Now, this was a lovely chat between Sam Matterface and Perry Groves on Game Day Live last Sunday.
Perry Groves is at the grudge match between Brighton and Crystal Palace. Hello.
Hello, Samuel. How you doing? This could be actually Gilly Cooper novel, couldn't it? The rivals. Brighton against Crystal
back
Palace.
To you just a second because we've got to go off to a goal with Lawrence Mora.
Yeah, like that was a nice chat.
Yeah, thanks.
You can tell they're mates because they are mates, actually. But, you know, you've got to go to a goal, Sam. We're not blaming Sam. And here's a Forest caller.
Probably never seen rivals.
No, I don't know. Here's a Forest caller at the sports bar before Mr. Marinakis pulled the trigger.
He's got to get somebody in, and he's got to get them ready for Fenerbahce next week. I mean, that's not a good. I wouldn't send Deitch to the sack room.
They've got one then, obviously, at Forest. They've got a sack room.
Well, you know.
So he only just uses it for sacking.
So a revolving door, I think you'll find.
He probably has, yeah.
Now, what's that word for when you're really, really nervous?
That's interesting. I'm not quite sure when you're really, really
nervous. But don't worry, Steve Harmison watching Newcastle versus Brentford, he'll know.
And the lights are on. Newcastle are at it. They'll beat anybody at their home ground. But the pressure that's been on recently, the noise that's going around, the nervousness.
Oh, nervousness. Yeah, I mean, when you're really, it's nervousness, isn't it?
It very much is, yeah.
That's bad. Back to Big Alan talking Liverpool with Sam Matterface.
Florian Wirtz and Hugo Ekitike just starting to connect.
I'm a big
Ekitike.
I'm a big fan of. When he came, I looked at him. I thought after 2 games,
I might be able to pronounce his name properly. I just finished that sentence rather.
And
Ekitike. Yeah, that's what they call him at one point.
And alongside Ian Danter, Weekend Overnight's Ben Fletcher is one of talkSPORT's finest resident impressionists.
He is a good impressionist, yeah.
And he had a new one this week.
Badler? Neil Badler? Oh, he's got his glasses on. Oh, they're nice glasses. You look like a young Ronnie Corbett. That reminds me of the time. What do you think?
Not a stunner, Fletch. You've got better material, I would say. So, yeah. But keep working on it. And finally, Andy, it's Stuart Pearce with an odd turn of phrase at Spurs versus Newcastle.
And it only takes a spurious Spurs chance, and all of a sudden they're back in the game.
Yeah, and I think certainly both managers will be acutely aware of that. Thomas Frank trying to arouse his troops.
Really? It didn't arouse the fans, I can tell you that.
Definitely not.
Well, did you enjoy that one, Shaban? Oh, I think she did. I think she did. That needs a bit of je t'aime under it, doesn't it? I think
you really could.
Anyway, there's we didn't have time. Anyway, there we are. There's the clips of the week. We should thank Tom Marshall, Zoggy the Gooner, Steve Pye, Stoosh, Arthur Gimble, Glyn Barrington, Sam Stevens, the former Wolves midfielder Mark Burke, friend of the show, Andy Von Landlord, Naughty Mark, Dave C, and John Hawley/Halley. They all suggested clips that were played this week. If you do hear a clip on talkSPORT over the next 7 days, please do send it in to us, talksport.com/H&J. You can text it to 81089 or you can tweet it to TSH&J. That's TSHANDJ. And as always, we just need a day and a time when you heard the clip go out, so we've got a fighting chance of tracking it down. And if it's played like those guys, you'll get a credit. Now, we've got a clip this week that was deemed too rude for radio.
Too rude.
Probably not too rude, with a warning for the podcast. So on the Clips of the Week podcast, which will be available wherever you get your podcasts in around sort of 20, 25 minutes time, you'll get an extra clip beyond those ones there that we felt that we could. I mean, we could have had 2, but the other one was too rude for anything, really. It was that slip of the tongue that people often do. But anyway, the other one is worth a listen, and we'll bring you that as an exclusive. So if you want to download the Clips of the Week podcast today, you'll get that extra clip. And the H&J Daily, featuring some of the best bits of this afternoon's show, including the rugby fan and CEO of Clapham, Archie Curzon, who came in, always a very popular guest. You'll catch that and other stuff besides this afternoon if you download the H&J, including Curtis Woodhouse, who was great, really interesting on his boxing and football careers. So you'll catch all that a little bit later on. Just go wherever you get your podcast, look for the H&J Daily. So we've got a big night of FA Cup football for you. It's Hull City versus Chelsea, the Liam Rosenior derby. Jim Proudfoot and Tash Dowie, your commentary team for that one. We got women's football here on talkSPORT 2. Manchester City versus Leicester in the Women's Super League tonight, and we got a whole raft of games for you tomorrow as well in the FA Cup and beyond, with Adrian Durham, Kevin Phillips, and Chris Owellamo around the grounds on Game Day Live, keeping you in touch with all the goals as they go in. We're going to have a chat with Tan Kessler next. He is the former Hull City vice chairman, was instrumental in bringing Liam Rosenior in, and we subsequently discovered that Liam's got great connections through his family to Hull, so it's going to be a big night for the family tonight. So, Tan Kessler joining us for a chat to reminisce in a few moments' time. We're here, of course, as always, with Toolstation. You can pick up your wet weather essentials today, and that was the Clips of the Week with Toolstation.
Clips of the Week on talkSPORT with Toolstation. Proudly behind the trades that work so hard for the nation. Next stop, Toolstation.
Arsenal all his life, and I just want to say that I fear for Arsenal again, because I genuinely believe that Mikel Arteta sets out his team not to lose. Not to lose. Whereas Man City set out to win. And I don't know how you win something by setting out not to lose. And this is a problem we have every year. We get towards the end, and he thinks that by not losing, getting a draw will be all right. But every time you draw now and the other team wins, you drop 2 points in the Premier League. Yep. And so he's got a tried and tested method of failing. And if my reasons for believing that are, first of all, I've never believed he's going to get us over the line after his first full season. If you look back, I believe there was a moment. There was 8 games left to play. Arsenal were in 4th place. We were 5 points clear of the team in 5th, and we had a game in hand, and we still managed to finish 5th. And every season since then has been the same.
That was when you went to Newcastle and lost, wasn't it? I mean, I think he's got a great point, because you compare, we were there, Sam, for both games. You compare Manchester City's performance at Anfield to Arsenal's performance at Anfield earlier in the season. Mikel Arteta went there to not get beaten. Pep Guardiola went to Anfield at the weekend, even at 1-0 down,
Slightly different,
to try and win the game.
Manchester City are in a situation now where they have to win almost every game. They have to attack it, whereas Mikel Arteta has come up with a strategy where he's plotting his way through the course of the
I think
season
it's risky,
strategically.
and I think if they don't win it,
it's
it'll
a
be on the
low-risk
manager gaps.
approach in terms of the fact that he's trying not to play gambling football, but it could be one that backfires.
It's a kind of magic. It's a kind of magic.
The FA Cup, the oldest and the best. Dawson puts his foot through to get it away. They have done it. Macclesfield have knocked the holders out of the FA Cup, and Wrexham have knocked Nottingham Forest out of the FA Cup.
Buendia gets it back for Marlon, and now Rodgers in the area. Low shot into the net. 2-0 to Aston Villa.
And the former Manchester United man, Danny Welbeck, might just have knocked Manchester United out of the FA Cup. Right-footed forward he goes. Save! Saved by Aaron Ramsdale. It's his third penalty save that puts Newcastle United into round 4.
There are never any guarantees in the FA Cup. Don't try and second guess it.
So there we are. We bring you Hull City versus Chelsea tonight. Until reading a little feature, I had no idea that Liam's family had such a big connection with the city. And he was telling the story in the paper of how he sat down with his nan, who is a Hull City season ticket holder, and told her he was going to join the club of player, and she was absolutely made up. It's a lovely story. So it's going to be a big turnout. The whole clan and I guess the London clan or the Southern clan will be heading up
the
there.
atmosphere will be great. It's a really tricky tie for Chelsea.
No,
you
don't want to be making too many changes.
No.
We're struggling to get through to 10, Kessler. We're still working on it for you. But in the meantime, let's hear from Liam Rossini, who was chatting about the return to Hull, which we'll bring you live on talkSPORT tonight. And he talks about returning to his former club.
Firstly, people, for me, Hull City is very special to me. My grandma was a season ticket holder. She passed away a year to the day pretty much when I took that job. I think she did the draw. I've got my family coming up. I probably need about 20 tickets. The club means a lot to me for many reasons. And yeah, hopefully we can put on a really, really good show, but it'll be amazing to go back.
Yeah, I think he talks a good game, you know. I mean, obviously it's all about the results, but the way he addresses the press and the way the players seem to really like him. And he was right, you know, the way he had the right amount of being annoyed the other night.
Yeah.
Without going over the top like me.
Yeah. Well,
which, you know.
You're unlikely to be in the dugout.
No, very
What did, so that's, you're enjoying the football?
I did the first hour the other night. They played some lovely football.
Yeah.
Really.
What's he changing then?
It's a bit more forward, a bit less sideways.
Right, well, I mean, we're all for that.
Yeah, we all are, you know. A bit like, you know, the difference between the way PSG play, it reminded me a bit of that the other night.
Blimey.
You know, but
High
it was
praise
aggressive. The goal was brilliant.
Yeah, it was a good goal, yeah, it's true.
Pedro, but, you know, look, Leeds hung on in there and, you know, fair enough. But it was a bit frustrating.
So let's reminisce then about his time at Hull with one of the people instrumental in bringing him in, the former vice chair of Hull City, Tam Kessler. Hi, Tam.
Hey guys, how are you?
We're good, yeah. It's fantastic for Liam. We could hear how much he loves the club. I mean, you guys probably felt when you employed him he was going to go on to great things, but it was probably sooner than you imagined.
Of course, you know, any coach that you would hire before anything else. Thanks for having me on the call and in the program. It's a pleasure. And coming back to Liam and any coach you appoint, you want to go for long term. So was it sooner? I can't say. Was it late? I wouldn't want to make a comment because I guess in the end it worked for him. So he's a Chelsea manager now.
Yeah. What are your memories of him, about his methods and your relationship with him when he was at the club?
No, my relationship was very close. It was on a friendly basis. We exchanged. I love football. I love talking football, understanding, the people, smart football people's brains. He was very competent, amazing communicator. And then he and I had a long time discussions along with his staff, along with the ownership. So he was very open, how he looks at the football and how he wants to play.
It's going pretty well at Hull, isn't it, this season? A lot of people were surprised. We heard earlier, not me, but we were heard that, they weren't expected to do as well as they're doing. Have they surprised you?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I always want Hull to be successful because I've spent quite a bit of a time and I always say it, my son is born there. And it's been a great journey for me. So I always wanted them to be successful. How they find the success and how they define success, I guess it's important because I can see when I'm still watching their games. I can see that there's a team spirit, a guidance, and I know the ownership had been sacrificing and doing everything in there to make.
Oh, that has broken up to such an extent. Often you can get
fabulous Norman Collier.
You can get through those, can't you?
It's a bit of a tricky one. See if we can get him back.
Because they did take a bit of a punt on Liam because it's always risky when you're handing the club over to a sort of young, inexperienced coach. But they obviously saw enough.
Yeah, and same with Chelsea.
Yeah,
same thing. I should say that despite my beautiful southern accent, my granddad and dad were both from Hull.
They're both from Hull. That's right. You've got a bit of a soft spot for Hull as well, haven't you? Yeah, that's true. I think we got Tan back. Tan, I was just saying, it's bold for you and the owner when you sat down and you thought about who was going to be in charge of the club. It's always more difficult to give a young coach a chance. What was it about Liam that made you think he was the right man for the job?
He had a very good conversation and interview with me. To be honest with you, we met in between. I think it was somewhere Sheffield. It was me, previous head of recruitment Lee, and also the Barry was there. He was our technical director, and we had a fantastic conversation with him, and he was quite impressive. And I remember after the conversation calling the owner and asking him him to speak with him because he's also very good with reading the people and understanding, and he was going to be working with him for the time being. And so I asked him that as there's a risky situation that he be willing to take it. And obviously he went on board and he took our suggestion. And so it was a risky for sure. It was a very, very risky.
We are really struggling with the line, but Tam, we appreciate your time. I'm sure you'll be looking out for the result tonight. If you can still hear us, thanks very much for joining us. Yes, Tan Kesler, the former Hull City Vice Chair. Just PD in Devon, who's a Tottenham fan, says, I'm not convinced by Tudor. I've been chatting to my mate who lives in Turin, and Tudor got... Because, Devon to Turin, that's often the end. Right. He says he got sacked for a terrible start of the season and he made Juventus extremely dour with a load of 0-0 results. Well, I'll take 12 0-0s. That might well keep us up.
It probably would.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But there's going to be more reaction, of course, to Igor Tudor going in at Spurs, which hasn't actually been confirmed by the club yet. I mean,
if it wasn't true.
It does. I mean, there's a few stories emanating now that it was Fabio Paratici, who's the former co-sporting director who's just left to go to Fiorentina, was pushing for this a few weeks ago because he feared that nothing was going to get any better. And he was pushing for Igor Tudor to come in
he wasn't
earlier
wrong, was he?
Because he felt, but I mean, it does make you wonder how exhaustive this process has been, or is it just Don Fabio saying, "Hey, I know a guy."
Well, look, he's got a good reputation and he's an experienced man.
Well, we'll see. He'll have 6 days to prepare for the North London derby on Sunday week, obviously. But it's the Cup. That's what it's all about this weekend. We've got loads of games for you on talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2 around the grounds of Adrian tomorrow. We kick off tonight with Hull versus Chelsea. Enjoy all the football. We'll pour over it all on Monday. Till then, have a great weekend. Coming up next, Andy Goldstein and Darren Bentwood Drive.
The irony is, I think Arteta is one of the best managers to to grace the Premier League for a long time. I think if anyone can, and I just think we just need to play.
Sorry, say that again. What did you say? Just say that Arteta's one of the greatest managers to ever come into the Premier League.
Yeah, can you not hear this evening?
But what are you on about? He ain't won that. He ain't won nothing.
No, but he's a young manager. Wenger came second 3 years on the trot, and then he won